In the dead of night, a train clatters along its tracks, its windows aglow. A young man named Akihito Machida, only 24, lets out a long, weary sigh. Slumped in his seat, he is the very picture of exhaustion after 33 straight days of work. He recalls the chaos of his office but clings to the thought of his day off tomorrow. His mind wanders to an idyllic fantasy of refreshing himself by going camping in nature. The crushing weight of his fatigue, however, begins to pull him into sleep. His eyelids grow heavy as he thinks of finally getting to rest at home. His consciousness fades into the blackness of a deep, dreamless slumber. He is suddenly jolted awake by the train's abrupt halt, his eyes wide with alarm. A wave of panic hits him as he realizes he has completely overslept and missed his stop. He stands alone on a desolate platform as the train doors hiss shut and pull away. An eerie wind blows across the dark, empty station as he wonders where he is. He looks up at a weathered sign which reads Zaragi, a station name he's never heard. Confused, he assumes he must have boarded the wrong train in his exhausted state. He looks around the station, noticing with a growing unease that it is completely unmanned. Dismissing the strangeness, he reaches for his phone to check his location. His heart sinks as his phone's screen displays out of service, cutting him off completely. With no timetable to be found, he decides to walk outside to get his bearings. He ventures into a dark forest, using the dim flashlight from his phone to see. 2 hours later, he collapses to his knees, hopelessly and utterly lost. He looks up, a bead of sweat on his brow, realizing something is terribly wrong. In the distance, he spots a faint light coming from the mouth of a dark tunnel. Hoping it's an exit, he decides to walk towards the light. He steps inside the cavern, his phone's light barely piercing the oppressive darkness. A strange electronic chime rings out, causing him to look at his phone in confusion. As he wonders if he's hearing the tide, a blinding light erupts before him. A powerful force blasts from the tunnel, violently throwing him off his feet. The world dissolves into a blur of light as he is hurtled through space. He lands in a new place, completely disoriented and muttering that this must be a lie. He finds himself on a rocky cliff overlooking the sea, shocked that it is now daytime. He looks down at himself in alarm, discovering his suit has become sturdy outdoor gear. He whirls around, searching for the tunnel he just exited, but it has vanished. He pinches his cheek hard and the sharp sting of pain confirms this is no dream. Staring at the crashing waves, he accepts the terrifying reality of his situation. A sound from behind him is followed by a soft, hesitant voice. He jumps in surprise, letting out a startled yelp as he turns around. His gaze falls on a bizarre sight, a floating pink object shaped like a drill. He then sees a breathtakingly beautiful girl in an ornate dress with golden twin tails. He is completely captivated, thinking to himself that she is an incredibly beautiful girl. The young woman approaches, asking with concern if he is all right. Snapping out of his daze, he bows deeply, apologizing for staring while he was lost. She reassures him with a kind smile, saying it's understandable after what happened. She explains that her ship was wrecked in a storm and she washed ashore here. Akihito is shocked to realize he is speaking to an actual shipwreck survivor. He tries to explain that he arrived through a tunnel, but she looks at him with confusion. Realizing how crazy he sounds, he scratches his head, unable to find the right words. She suddenly remembers her manners, noting that they have not yet introduced themselves. With a graceful curtsy, she presents herself as Olivia of the Half-Paimon Marquisate. He introduces himself as Akihito Machida, thinking her noble title must be part of a character persona. Olivia asks where he is from, and when he says Japan, the name is completely foreign to her. She politely apologizes for her ignorance, and he thinks to himself what a kind person she is. He asks her if she has any idea where this island might be. She explains she was traveling from the Legman Kingdom to marry the Prince of Nissel. The fantastical names, Marquisate, Kingdom, Prince, make Akihito's head spin. Olivia laughs that they are both in the same predicament, and the truth finally hits Akihito. With dawning horror, he realizes he has somehow wandered into another world. His mind immediately leaps to a familiar trope, wondering where his promised cheat skills are. He has a dramatic internal breakdown, lamenting the lack of a goddess bestowing him with powers. Olivia gently brings him back to reality, suggesting they look for other survivors. Now thinking in fantasy terms, he asks if concepts like jobs and skills exist here. She confirms that they do, and proudly states that her own job is Holy Knight. He is taken aback, surprised that the delicate-looking girl has a physical combat class. She tells him it's simple to check his own status and encourages him to try. Though nervous, he closes his eyes and recites the words. Status open. A glowing translucent screen materializes out of thin air, shocking him. His eyes widen in disbelief at the single word displayed for his job. Camper. He stares at the screen, utterly confused as to what kind of job a camper is. He examines his status, noting his name, his unique job, and his 5 starting points. He explores the skill tree, seeing a list of abilities he can acquire with points. He notices another tab for camp item exchange and wonders what it does. He reads the details of his skill, learning he gains points daily and levels up by camping. Tapping the item tab reveals a vast catalog of camping gear, sparking his excitement. He contemplates how to best use his 5 points, weighing skills against items. Olivia leans in with a smile, asking if he has figured out his job. With his status screen still visible, he announces that he appears to be a camper. Olivia looks puzzled, admitting she has never heard of such a profession. He enthusiastically explains that camping is about enjoying nature and cooking outdoors. As he describes sitting by a campfire under the stars, Olivia looks on with sparkling eyes. He then sheepishly admits that all his knowledge comes from watching videos online. She tells him not to be so modest, sensing his potential is greater than he thinks. She clasps her hands and gives him an intensely radiant smile, sure he will become great. He recoils from the sheer force of her smile, thinking it has a lethal power. She asks about his skills and he flusters, thinking she must have a prince for a boyfriend. He apologizes, explaining that he has not yet allocated any of his skill points. She advises him that how he spends his points will shape his entire life here. He looks at his screen again, realizing the power of gaining 4 points every day. As they set off, he decides to spend 1 point on basic physical strength up. They walk through a dense forest, the sunlight filtering through the tall trees. The forest floor is a tangle of gnarled roots and thick undergrowth. After a long search, they find no trace of any other people. He remarks that they haven't found anyone, just as Olivia begins to stumble from exhaustion. Seeing her struggling, he confidently tells her not to worry. He will get them water. She asks if he knows water magic, but he simply points to his item exchange menu. With a dramatic flash of light, he summons a large water container from his menu. A brand new 20-liter water tank full to the brim materializes at his feet. He proudly shows her the spigot, declaring this to be the incredible power of a camper. Olivia is overjoyed, gratefully accepting the offer of fresh water. Her happy expression freezes as a sudden, crucial realization dawns on her. She turns to him with a sheepish look, asking if he happens to have a cup. Akihito's own triumphant expression turns to one of pure shock at his simple oversight. Akihito thoughtfully weighs the cost of a cup against their future needs. Olivia, ever the pragmatist, declares she will drink directly from the spigot. The spigot is turned, and a precious stream of clean water begins to flow. She leans in for her first drink, but the gushing water splashes everywhere. The noblewoman immediately chokes and sputters violently on the powerful stream. Mortified, she begs him to look away as he offers her a newly summoned cup. He regrets not summoning the more versatile Sierra cup from the very beginning. Olivia, fully recovered, marvels at what she believes is a legendary skill. Akihito clarifies that he exchanged points, not used a true storage skill. She insists his ability is incredibly rare, possessed by only 1 in 30,000. Akihito is stunned to learn his simple skill is considered legendary in this world. He excitedly explains that his item exchange ability goes far beyond just water. He proudly displays the catalog of modern camping gear available to him. Olivia is left completely speechless, stunned by the sheer possibilities he possesses. She marvels at the power of his camper job, a concept entirely new to her. Akihito feels a flush of pride, unused to receiving such high praise. His anxiety about his seemingly useless job begins to fade into confidence. Filled with new purpose, he declares that they will face this challenge together. Moved by his sincerity, Olivia gently asks if he would be her friend. He agrees without hesitation, asking her to simply call him Akihito. They formally seal their new partnership and friendship with a firm handshake. As dusk begins to fall, they realize they must prepare for the night. Akihito decides on a clearing for their campsite, a new experience for Olivia. He worries that the sheltered noblewoman will be frightened by sleeping outdoors. Instead of fear, Olivia is absolutely thrilled by the adventure of camping. Tasked with gathering firewood, she dashes into the woods with immense enthusiasm. A great commotion echoes from the forest as Olivia gathers the wood. While he waits, Olivia's voice calls out to him from the trees. She returns, effortlessly carrying a log far too large for a normal person. Akihito is dumbfounded by her incredible strength as she presents the massive log. He gently explains that the wood needs to be smaller to burn properly. Olivia understands his instructions with a cheerful and determined smile. With a sharp crack, she snaps the enormous log in half with her hands. He stares in utter disbelief, struggling to process what he just witnessed. She sweetly explains it's just a basic Holy Knight skill, bare-handed blade. He internally dubs her the Drill Princess, wondering about this world's nobles. Despite his shock, he finds he doesn't dislike her incredible strength. A sudden rustle from the nearby undergrowth breaks the quiet moment. Akihito whirls around, his senses on high alert from the unexpected noise. A monstrous, wolf-like creature bursts into the clearing, terrifying Akihito. Olivia calmly identifies the beast as a devil rat, much to his shock. She steps protectively in front of him, warning of its deadly bite. Closing her eyes, she begins to chant, gathering brilliant holy energy. Her eyes snap open as she delivers the final line of her incantation. Akihito watches in awe, anticipating a powerful blast of divine magic. Instead of magic, she lunges forward and obliterates the monster with one punch. He is completely floored by the brutal and unexpected display of physical power. Olivia bows deeply in apology, much to Akihito's utter confusion. She laments that the branch she held as a weapon shattered on impact. She blames her inexperience, but he points out the shattered wood is perfect kindling. He explains that the fine, dry kindling she created is ideal for starting a fire. Her mood instantly shifts from dejection to delighted understanding. She praises his superior knowledge, much to his embarrassed disagreement. The encounter solidifies the grim reality that monsters truly exist in this world. He looks around the forest, fully accepting he's in a world of fantasy. He realizes he urgently needs a weapon of his own to survive. With the kindling ready, the next challenge is actually starting the fire. Akihito confidently announces that he will handle the fire starting. For a single point, he summons a simple disposable lighter with a triumphant grin. He explains the lighter's function, which Olivia immediately assumes is a magic item. He asks her to add more of her expertly prepared kindling to the fire. She adds the wood with comical and energetic enthusiasm, creating a huge pile. With a simple click, he touches the flame to the tinder. The fire roars to life, and they both cheer at their shared success. He feels a profound satisfaction, a feeling long absent from his corporate life. As the adrenaline fades, Olivia's mood turns somber and she seems distressed. She mentions her betrothal, leaving Akihito flustered and apologetic. They sit in awkward silence as Akihito questions his own emotional reaction. Deciding to focus on their situation, he summons his status screen. He realizes he cannot ask Olivia to stand guard against monsters all night. He knows that ensuring their immediate safety is more important than food. He steels his resolve, knowing he must use his last points to protect them. Olivia stares into the crackling flames, lost in her own thoughts. She turns and gets his attention, her expression soft in the firelight. With a serene smile, she confesses that despite everything, she had fun. Her unexpected confession catches him completely off guard. She gives him the credit for her unexpected enjoyment of their difficult day. He reflects on the day's unbelievable events, from monsters to making camp. A quiet understanding dawns in his eyes as he looks at her. He gazes at the comforting warmth of the fire, feeling a similar peace. He quietly admits that he felt the same way about their day. A genuine, heartfelt smile spreads across his face as he agrees with her. They share a moment of quiet understanding and mutual happiness. He looks at his remaining 2 points, his mind now made up. Determined to protect their fragile peace, he knows what skill he must choose. Olivia notices his sudden change in demeanor and looks at him questioningly. He spends his last 2 points to unlock the base camp blessing skill. He slams his hand on the ground, declaring the clearing their official campsite. A brilliant wave of light expands outwards, creating a protective barrier. He stands tall, vowing to embrace his new life and enjoy his adventure. Within their new sanctuary, they make plans for the following day. Beyond the light's edge, pairs of predatory eyes watch them from the darkness. The forest is alive with unseen creatures, held at bay only by his skill. Their small glowing camp is a tiny beacon of safety in a vast wilderness. A flag marks their territory, a symbol of his new identity and purpose. With their safety secured, a more mundane problem makes itself known. Akihito clutches his stomach, finally realizing how incredibly hungry he is. He recalls the day's chaos and his grueling work schedule before his arrival. He desperately wishes for his daily points to solve their impending food crisis. His thoughts turn to Olivia, knowing she must be just as hungry. As the campfire dwindles, Olivia nervously calls out Akihito's name. She points out that the flames are getting smaller and smaller. Akihito turns, realizing with concern what will happen if the fire dies. Olivia's eyes widen in terror as she imagines the suffocating darkness. He notices her trembling and realizes she must be afraid of the dark. She stammers that anyone would be scared in such a creepy forest. Akihito offers her a warm, reassuring smile, telling her it will be okay. His gentle expression leaves her momentarily speechless and surprised. He explains that if the flames are weak, they can add small twigs. He asks her to carefully place some fine branches onto the embers. Her hands gently add the kindling to the last of the glowing coals. With a sudden whoosh, the fire roars back to life, bright and strong. Olivia gasps in delight as Akihito declares their success. She praises his incredible camper skills, amazed by the result. Playfully, she adds more wood, vowing not to lose to the powder of fire. She laughs joyfully, rubbing a bit of smoke from her eyes. Akihito watches her, relieved to see that her spirits have returned. Seeing that she must be tired, he suggests it is time for them to rest. Olivia's demeanor suddenly shifts as she leans toward him. She formally states she is the prince's fiancée and will sleep nearby. Akihito is completely baffled by her sudden and bizarre declaration. She dramatically proclaims that she cannot possibly use her hyper-aura sword. With a sly smile, she wonders if it would be fun to be his girlfriend. Akihito panics, frantically insisting that he has no such thoughts. She apologizes for her joke, and he tells her not to worry about it. Relieved, she smiles, calling him a fine person, making him feel oddly guilty. Akihito gathers an armful of dry grass to make beds for the night. They both lie down on their separate makeshift beds of leaves. Akihito hears her giggling softly and looks over with a questioning glance. He asks what is so funny, and she confesses that she finds it all strange. She muses that, despite being stranded and hungry, she feels a sense of excitement. With a radiant smile, she declares that this is her first truly free night. Her heartfelt words resonate deeply with the overworked salaryman. He agrees, realizing it has been a long time since he felt so unburdened. As he gazes upward, his eyes widen in sudden, profound awe. He is captivated by the breathtaking sight of the star-filled night sky. He smiles, thinking what a rare luxury it is to have this view to himself. The next morning, bright sunlight streams through the forest canopy. Akihito sits up with a stretch, Olivia still sleeping soundly nearby. He breathes in the fresh air, thinking how great it is to wake up at a campsite. His first priority is to check his points, summoning his status screen. He grins, seeing his special skill has granted him 4 new points. He decides to save his points until after Olivia wakes up. Next, he moves to check their precious water supply in the tank. Tapping the container, he is relieved to find that it is completely full. As he examines the spigot, Olivia's voice calls out his name. She sits up, rubbing the sleep from her eyes and wishing him a good morning. Akihito is momentarily stunned to see her without her iconic drill hairstyle. Flustered, he quickly turns away, pretending to check his status again. He tells her that the water has been replenished and she can use it. Once she is ready, he announces that he will prepare their breakfast. He scrolls through his skill tree, seeing the knowledge of camp food option. He imagines all the delicious meals he could make if only he had ingredients. He decides against it, knowing it's too risky with no food on hand. Olivia, now fully dressed and styled, informs him she is ready. She has completely returned to her noble appearance, dazzling Akihito. He is briefly stunned by her quick transformation back to her usual self. He dismisses his own hunger, declaring he will procure their meal. He decides to use the food gacha to get something they can eat immediately. He taps the screen, hoping for something that doesn't require any cooking. For the cost of 1 point, a small white cooler box materializes. He and Olivia lean in with bated breath as the lid pops open. Inside are 2 convenience store rice balls, 1 tuna mayo, 1 salmon. They sit down, and Akihito remarks on how delicious they look. Olivia inspects the strange triangular object, asking if it is food. She tries to take a bite, wondering how to eat it without utensils. Akihito quickly stops her, showing her how to open the plastic wrapper. She watches with fascination as he demonstrates the proper technique. With hearts full of anticipation, they prepare to take their first bite. Olivia tentatively tastes the unfamiliar rice ball. Akihito also takes a bite, and his eyes widen with pure delight. They both exclaim in unison that the simple meal is incredibly delicious. He is moved to tears, having never tasted an onigiri so good. Olivia is enchanted by the savory filling and the crispy seaweed. Akihito finishes his meal, feeling grateful but wishing he had another. He smiles warmly as Olivia asks if she can have another one. With breakfast finished, he announces it's time to start their day's activities. He looks towards the coast, stating their first objective. A tall column of smoke rises from the signal fire they have built. Olivia looks on, unfamiliar with the concept of a signal fire. Akihito explains it might alert any passing ships to their location. He then outlines their other goals: search for people, food, and water. Additionally, he says they need to wash their clothes and themselves. He scratches his shoulder, admitting he's desperate for a bath after 2 days. They venture deeper into the dense, rustling forest. As he struggles with vines, Olivia confidently tells him to leave it to her. She unleashes her advanced skill, blasting a perfectly clear path ahead. Akihito is amazed, while Olivia coyly calls it a lady's grace. She cheerfully leads the way, marveling at the power of her skill. Her elegant boot steps firmly onto the newly cleared forest floor. They walk on, but the woods are quiet and Akihito hears nothing. Olivia closes her eyes, activating her hearing enhancement skill. Her senses expand, allowing her to perceive sounds far beyond normal range. Her ear twitches as she focuses intently on a distant sound. She confirms she hears flowing water and points them in the right direction. They quickly make their way through the trees, following her lead. They burst into a clearing and discover a clear, fast-flowing stream. Standing on the bank, Akihito notices the stream seems unnaturally wide. Olivia is surprised when he suggests the river's course might be artificial. They decide to follow the stream, wary of the difficult terrain ahead. Deep in the forest, Akihito feels an ominous presence, reminding himself to be cautious. He tells Olivia they must stay vigilant as they don't know what lurks here. Following a stream, they spot something unusual in a clearing ahead. What is that? Akihito wonders. He sees several tree stumps, cleanly cut, realizing someone has clearly been at work here. Olivia points out that felled trees have been used to create a dam in the river. She then spots another clearing over a small rise, and Akihito confirms he sees it. They both look on, their expressions a mixture of surprise and wonder at their discovery. The clearing reveals a quaint cottage, nestled amongst a grove of giant, whimsical mushrooms. Olivia remarks that it looks like a fairy's house. Akihito notes it's too small for humans. She excitedly speculates that it might be the home of gnomes, creatures from storybooks. Akihito realizes the resident of this house must be the one who cut down the trees. With a loud creak, the door to the small cottage begins to swing open. Akihito's eyes narrow. He knows they must be on their guard against whoever is inside. As the door opens, Akihito instinctively shoves Olivia behind him for her protection. A small, bipedal cat wearing clothes and a satchel emerges, looking equally surprised. The creature exclaims that something has appeared, while Akihito is stunned to see a talking cat. From the mushroom grove, the small cat person cautiously observes the two humans. Akihito internally questions what this creature is. It stands upright, but is it a monster? He thinks to himself that, based on its appearance, just looks like a cat, but still. The cat declares them a strange sight, and Akihito thinks to himself that's his line. Another, larger cat emerges, telling the first one to calm down. This new cat, with a patched face, calmly identifies the newcomers as human. The first cat asks if they are really humans, as Akihito and Olivia look on. Realizing they can talk, Akihito decides to be friendly and offers a cheerful, hello. The first cat, Tama, is delighted, having never seen a human's smooth face before. Akihito asks about a transaction, and the patched cat, Buchi, begins to explain. They are both stunned to learn that a ship comes to this island once a month. Akihito's hope soars. They might be able to get passage on that ship. Olivia's face brightens with relief, certain they can now reach the capital kingdom. Buchi asks if they've come to trade, Tama adding that humans bring delicious food. Akihito explains that they were shipwrecked and washed ashore here, surprising the cats. Buchi understands and Tama expresses sympathy for their terrible ordeal. Akihito is relieved, sensing these are kind cats who might be willing to help them. He asks what this place is called, and the two cats happily provide an answer. They introduce themselves as Buchi and Tama of the Minion tribe from Marvel Island. Akihito is shocked to learn the cats are sacred beasts and this is their holy land. He asks if other humans are here, but Buchi says the traders left days ago. Akihito thanks him, realizing this means the ship won't return for some time. He steals his resolve to survive with Olivia using his camper skills until then. He turns to Buchi and Tama, asking where they might be able to find food. Buchi explains the minions fish, forage, and hunt, trading their goods for glowing stones. Akihito inquires about the stones, and Olivia recognizes them as valuable magic stones. The cats add that rare food can also be found in the caves, but Buchi gives a grave warning that terrifying monsters lurk deep inside the caves. Akihito is startled by the news, understanding he must be extremely careful. Buchi kindly offers to show them where the fruit groves are, which Akihito gratefully accepts. They follow the two minions away from the whimsical mushroom village. The group makes its way through the dense, rustling foliage of the forest. Walking along a clear path, Olivia and Akihito are grateful for all the help. The cats also tell them of a nearby waterfall where they can bathe. Olivia is deeply touched by their kindness, feeling her heart soothed by their warmth. Akihito mentions that the ship won't be back for a little while. Olivia's mood darkens. She knows she must return, or her family's name will be ruined. She explains that her fiancé, the Prince of Nissel, might think she fled the engagement. She cannot allow such a misunderstanding to burden him. Akihito listens intently, a new thought beginning to dawn on him. He realizes that Olivia doesn't seem very enthusiastic about her impending marriage. A loud, rushing sound begins to echo through the trees ahead of them. They arrive at a magnificent waterfall, the blue waterfall Bucci had described. Akihito declares his desire to wash his hair and body, much to Olivia's shock. She asks incredulously if he really plans to bathe right here, and he confirms it. Olivia is completely mortified at the thought of bathing outside under the open sun. Akihito smiles, gently explaining that it's important to stay clean to avoid sickness. She understands his reasoning but is still incredibly hesitant and flustered. He tries to reassure her, saying it will be fine, and mentions her engagement to the prince. She suddenly declares that if anyone spied on her, she'd make them commit suicide. Akihito is taken aback, and she explains it's just something her mother used to say. He smiles and tells her to wait, as he has something that will help. He summons a towel set for 1 point, including towels, toothbrushes, and razors. Olivia holds a toothbrush in awe, asking what kind of items a camper can get. He grins, explaining that he can only summon things directly related to camping. He tells her he'll wait behind a large rock, and she gratefully accepts the towel. The sound of vigorous splashing echoes from the tranquil pool at the waterfall's base. Olivia gently lowers her hand into the cool, clear water. She admits to herself that she never imagined she would ever bathe outdoors. She sinks into the water, her long hair fanning out, sighing at how wonderful it feels. Akihito waits patiently for her, sitting with his back against the large rock formation. He smiles to himself, glad that she seems to be enjoying her bath. He muses about her iconic drill hairstyle, wondering how it could possibly be washed. A comical image of her struggling with a washboard and stick flashes through his mind. Olivia's voice calls out from the forest, saying she is ready. Akihito turns as she emerges from behind the rock, apologizing for the wait. He smiles and tells her it's his turn to bathe now. Her hair now down, Olivia announces she will go hunting while he washes. Akihito is startled by her sudden and unexpected declaration. He blushes slightly, agreeing and telling her to be careful on her way. He asks if she is really going hunting, and she confirms it with a bright smile. She explains she can't keep relying on him now that her stamina is restored. He tries to protest, insisting that she has already helped him so much. She cuts him off, declaring with fiery resolve that she will provide the meat for dinner. Overwhelmed, Akihito agrees to leave it to her, saying they'll meet at base camp. She agrees with a happy smile, and he smiles back, trusting her. She waves a cheerful goodbye and he wishes her well, amazed she can also hunt. His clothes and boots rest on the shore as he prepares to enter the water. He splashes the cool water over his head, sighing with immense relief. Leaning back, he exclaims how wonderful it feels to finally get properly clean. A sudden loud rustling sound erupts from the bushes right next to him. He whips his head around, startled, wondering if it's an animal or a monster. He panics, realizing that without Olivia, he is a completely defenseless salaryman. Submerged in the waterfall pool, Akihito anxiously scrolls through his status screen. He realizes a proper axe or machete costs 5 points, far more than he has. A sudden rustle in the bushes startles him, reminding him of the constant danger. He decides his priorities are food and laundry, especially if Olivia returns empty-handed. Drying himself, he wonders if a noble like Olivia has ever had to do laundry. He thinks of her family's troubles and imagines the great anxiety she must feel. Now dressed, he acknowledges how much Olivia has helped him. He wouldn't have survived alone. He resolves to ease her worries in any way he can before the rescue ship arrives. The thought of the ship brings uncertainty. He doesn't even know how to get home. Shaking off his worries, he decides to focus on the present and find the fruit grove. He knows he can't afford to waste time and must find food before nightfall. Pushing through the undergrowth, he feels certain he is close to the spot Tama described. He enters a clearing and stares up in awe at a single magnificent fruit tree. The fruit hanging from the high branches looks delicious. He identifies them as mangoes. He stands at the base of the massive trunk, pondering how he could possibly get them. After a quick assessment of the smooth bark, he concludes that climbing is impossible. He looks for a tool to help, but a sharp noise from above distracts him. A sudden loud squawk makes him jump, and he looks up with wide, startled eyes. He glances around, wondering if he just imagined being insulted by a bird. The aggressive squawk rings out again, confirming that he was not imagining things. He is shocked to see two large imposing birds wearing bandanas perched on a branch. He stares in utter disbelief, trying to comprehend what kind of creatures they are. One of the birds puffs out its chest aggressively, preparing to assert its dominance. The creature swoops down to a lower branch, fixing him with a menacing glare. He realizes the bird is calling him a small fry and is annoyed by its tone. The bird puffs its chest out defiantly, chirping that it's looking right at him. Akihito is stunned not just by the insult, but by the creature's incredibly foul mouth. The birds taunt him from their perch, asking the small fry if he wants their fruit. They begin to eat the mangoes in front of him, making loud, satisfied noises. Deciding to try diplomacy, he politely asks if they would be willing to share. One of the birds looks down its beak at him smugly, asking what's in it for them. He explains he has nothing to offer now, but promises to repay their kindness one day. The birds listen with skeptical expressions, clearly unimpressed by his empty promise. The smug bird smirks, saying it might consider his request if he begs for it. Akihito is floored by the creature's terrible personality, his plan in shambles. He realizes they don't intend to help, they just want to mock and humiliate him. Deciding it's pointless, he resolves to simply ignore the obnoxious bullies. Annoyed at being ignored, the bird tells him to get lost if he doesn't want the fruit. As he walks away, the birds fly overhead, their taunts of small fry echoing. They mock him for thinking they would help, telling him to starve to death. Defeated, he decides it's better to risk the food gotcha than deal with them. A sudden noise in the woods startles him, and a voice asks what's wrong. It's Buchi, who asks if he came for mangoes and notes his weary expression. Akihito's face lights up with relief, overjoyed to see his friendly mignon acquaintance. He explains his frustrating encounter with the pair of incredibly foul-mouthed birds. Buchi identifies the culprits as members of the Albert tribe, another group of sacred beasts. Buchi confirms they are known liars with nasty tempers, and Akihito understands completely. When Buchi asks if humans can't climb, Akihito admits it's just his own weakness. Buchi sighs that it can't be helped, preparing to solve the problem himself. With a cat's effortless grace, Buchi scampers up the tree as Akihito cheers him on. Buchi returns with a jacket overflowing with a generous bounty of ripe mangoes. Akihito thanks him profusely, promising to repay him, but Buchi has an idea. Buchi says he wants to eat matin clams, and Akihito repeats the unfamiliar name. As Buchi describes the long, thin clam, Akihito realizes he knows how to catch it. Akihito promises to get the clams, and Buchi happily tells him not to rush. Energized by his new mission, Akihito decides to head for the sea immediately. He gathers his jacket full of mangoes, deciding to drop them at camp first. The rhythmic sound of waves crashing on the shore signals his arrival at the beach. He walks along the wet sand, the vast sparkling ocean stretching out before him. His eyes scan the ground, and he quickly spots the telltale holes of the clams. He crouches down, recalling a TV show that demonstrated how to catch them with salt. He realizes with a burst of clarity that the first thing he needs is salt. Checking his status, he sees he could spend his last 2 points on a bag of salt. He decides against buying it, opting for a more resourceful and sustainable solution. He spends his last 2 points to summon a sturdy metal cooking pot from his menu. He holds the pot aloft, declaring his intention to make his own salt from the sea. Remembering his old science lessons, he builds a small, makeshift furnace out of rocks. He calculates that 2 liters of seawater should yield about 60 grams of salt. His first attempt to light the damp kindling results in a face full of thick smoke. He coughs and sputters violently, waving the acrid smoke away from his face. Wiping his stinging eyes, he wishes he had a 1-point fire starter for Olivia. He realizes the kindling he gathered is too damp, and he will need to find more. He sighs in frustration, seeing that this is going to take a very long time. He slumps to his knees, feeling defeated and certain he's letting Buchi down. He thinks about Buchi's kindness and how he wasn't expecting this favor in return. A steely look of determination flashes across his face as he refuses to give up. He clenches his fists, filled with a burning desire to repay his friend's kindness. With renewed vigor, he runs back and forth to the forest, gathering more firewood. He works tirelessly for hours, tending the fire and boiling pot after pot of seawater. He declares to himself that he will absolutely succeed in making the salt for his friend. Finally, after a long ordeal, he sees the water thicken as salt crystals form. He triumphantly holds up the pot, showing off the small but hard-won pile of salt. He tastes a small pinch, it's salty but delicious, and he decides to be patient. Completely exhausted, he collapses onto the sand to rest after his hard work. He looks out at the ocean, reflecting on the simple joy of creating something himself. He decides to gather the clams tomorrow, as it's getting late and Olivia will be back. He returns to camp to find Olivia looking pale, her hair limp with exhaustion. He is completely shocked by her defeated and unwell appearance, wondering what happened. He rushes to her side, calling her name and asking what's wrong with her drills. She looks down in shame, apologizing profusely for having failed in her hunt. He gently reassures her that there's no need to apologize and that it's okay. She explains that she found a deer, but as a holy knight, she couldn't kill it. Akihito tells her not to be so down on herself, understanding her difficult position. He tries to cheer her up by presenting the mangoes he got from Buchi. He tells her they can eat one now and save the rest for breakfast tomorrow. He begins to peel one for her, realizing she might not be used to doing it. He takes a massive, satisfying bite of the juicy fruit himself to show her. His eyes go wide with delight, exclaiming it's the most delicious mango he's ever had. Olivia watches him, her own sadness momentarily forgotten by his enthusiastic reaction. He holds the mango out to her, urging her to try the incredibly delicious fruit. With a small sound, Olivia takes a tentative bite of the mango Akihito offered. Her eyes go wide with surprise as she whispers that it is delicious. Seated by the fire, she looks at him and offers her most sincere thanks. Akihito observes that she still seems down and lacking her usual vibrant energy. He chews thoughtfully, wondering what he can do to cheer her up right now. His expression hardens with resolve. He decides to catch many clams to lift her spirits. A single, ominous drop of rain splashes onto the dry ground near his foot. He feels another drop on his cheek and wonders if it is starting to rain. In an instant, the sky opens up in a sudden torrential downpour. Akihito shouts to see if Olivia is okay as she shields herself from the stinging rain. With a loud hiss, their precious campfire is instantly extinguished by the deluge. Akihito tells her he will summon a rain shelter, asking her to wait a moment. He quickly navigates his menu, recalling an item that only costs 1 point. With a flourish, he summons a large blue tarp, declaring it will keep them dry. He grabs a sturdy branch, intending to use it as a makeshift tent pole. As he struggles to set up the shelter, he notices the fire is completely out. Realizing the darkness will only worsen her mood, he is suddenly startled by a noise. Olivia throws herself at him, clinging to his shirt with a desperate, tight grip. Akihito is completely stunned, his face a mask of confusion at her sudden action. Olivia buries her face in his chest, hiding from the world around them. He looks down at her trembling form, asking in a panic what is wrong. Huddled in the rain, Akihito holds her, feeling her hand grip his shirt tighter. He looks around at the dark, stormy clearing, completely bewildered by the situation. He realizes with a jolt that something is terribly wrong with Olivia. He looks down at her with deep concern, asking again what has happened. He can feel the intense tremors racking her body, asking if she is all right. Her voice is a choked whisper as she murmurs about the suffocating darkness. The truth dawns on him. Her fear isn't the rain, but the dark itself. He guides her under the tarp, recognizing her state of fear is abnormal. He tries to reassure her, telling her everything will be all right now. He holds the shelter steady, promising that he is right there beside her. He waits anxiously under the tarp, noting that the storm shows no signs of stopping. He peeks inside and sees Olivia is still huddled, trembling uncontrollably. He watches her shivering form, a look of profound helplessness on his face. He clenches his fist in frustration, feeling useless in the face of her pain. Suddenly, a strange warmth and energy surges through his entire body. He wonders what this new power is, questioning if it could be what he thinks. He realizes with a flash of insight that he has leveled up from camping. Seeing his replenished points, he promises Olivia that everything is okay now. Lost in her terror, Olivia continues to tremble, her hands covering her face. A solar-powered lantern, costing 2 points, materializes in a brilliant flash of light. He holds the lantern out to her, apologizing for the delay in getting a light. Olivia slowly looks up, her tear-filled eyes widening at the comforting glow. He smiles gently, telling her she can rest without fear of the light going out. Her eyes, shining with tears of gratitude, are fixed on his kind face. He places the lantern down beside her, a beacon of safety in the darkness. The next morning, the storm has passed, revealing a bright, clear sky. Sunlight filters through the canopy, water dripping from the freshly washed leaves. Akihito stretches his arms wide, feeling refreshed after a night's rest. He stands tall, declaring that the weather is clear and it will be a good day. He reflects that Olivia was able to calm down and sleep thanks to the lantern. He looks at her sleeping form, wondering if she has a trauma related to darkness. He decides not to pry, resolving to wait until she is ready to tell him herself. He vows that for as long as she is on this island, he will keep her smiling. Remembering his points, he prepares to use them to help her, but is interrupted. A new screen appears, A skill point roulette he can spin after leveling up. He realizes he can spin this roulette once every 2 days of camping. He presses the start button, ready to test his luck. The wheel spins rapidly as he wishes for a large number of points. With a determined shout, he hits the button to stop the spinning wheel. The wheel lands on 19 and he cheers, his total now a whopping 24 points. With his newfound wealth, he decides to acquire the camp food skill first. A soft light envelops him as he successfully unlocks the new ability. He cheers again, having also unlocked Pro of Preparation, making him a skilled cook. This new skill means he can properly prepare any game Olivia brings back. He decides to use his remaining points on camping supplies specifically for Olivia. He hopes she will be happy, so she never has to be that scared again. Olivia continues to sleep soundly, curled up in a ball for warmth. The campsite is quiet, the fire crackling peacefully in the morning light. Olivia awakens, deeply embarrassed, and apologizes for her unsightly behavior. Akihito greets her good morning as she peeks out from the shelter. He tells her not to worry about it and asks if she is feeling okay. He unveils his surprise, a brand new tent-in tarp he bought to cheer her up. He explains the tarp's magic glowing feature and suggests they build it together. Olivia is deeply touched, realizing he bought these things just for her. He decides to make breakfast first using leftovers and his food gacha. The gacha produces a box of instant clam chowder powder. He also summons a full outdoor cookware set to prepare a proper meal. Olivia watches in fascination as he pours the strange powder into bowls. He adds hot water from the kettle, the steam rising invitingly. He hands her a bowl, telling her to stir it well and enjoy the lovely aroma. She takes a delicate, tentative sip of the warm soup. Her eyes light up with pleasure as she whispers that it is delicious. She closes her eyes, savoring the warm, calming sensation of the soup. Akihito watches her with a warm, gentle smile, happy to see her at peace. Re-energized, Olivia declares she is ready to build the tent and will handle the labor. Akihito is happy to see her spirit has returned and agrees to start. They work together, Akihito showing her how to tie the ropes for the tent. Olivia is thrilled by the new experience, a novelty she was never allowed. Akihito imagines her restrictive life, forbidden from cooking, cleaning, or getting dressed herself. He realizes with a pang of sympathy how stifling her life must have been. With a final pull, the tent is complete, a proud accomplishment for them both. Olivia stares at it in awe, whispering that it's the first tent she's ever built. Akihito looks at her, a quiet understanding and affection in his eyes. He suggests they now go to the beach together to try clam digging. They arrive at the shore, the gentle waves lapping at the sand. Akihito kneels, explaining that the first step is to find a small hole. He demonstrates sprinkling salt into the hole to lure the clam out. With a whoosh, a long razor clam shoots out from its burrow in the sand. Akihito quickly snatches it, triumphantly holding up their first catch. Akihito triumphantly holds up a clam he has just caught. He encourages a sparkling-eyed Olivia to try her hand at it. She is instantly captivated, declaring clam digging to be wonderful fun. She darts across the sand with surprising speed, snatching up clams. Their game comes to a halt when they realize the salt is gone. He calculates that their small catch will not go very far. Olivia turns to him, a new resolve forming in her mind. She declares she will just dig, unleashing a massive blast of power. Dozens of clams rain down, stunning a wide-eyed Akihito. Their task is now complete, the pot filled to the brim. Their bounty of fresh razor clams is more than they expected. Olivia is overjoyed they can now properly thank their minion friends. As Olivia goes to fetch the minions, Akihito prepares the clams. He decides to use his proof of preparation skill for the task. In an instant, his skill perfectly cleans every single clam. He sits and waits for the others to return to the camp. Olivia returns with an ecstatic Buchi and Tama in tow. He happily shows them the massive haul of fresh clams. He humbly gives all the credit for the catch to Olivia. Buchi arrives with a surprise gift, a large block of butter. Akihito suggests that Olivia try her hand at cooking the clams. She expresses her hesitation, having never cooked a meal before. With a deep breath, she agrees to give it her best shot. The sound of the clams sizzling in butter fills the air. She panics slightly, but Akihito calmly reassures her. The delicious aroma has the minions waiting with eager anticipation. She nervously presents the finished dish of butter-sautéed clams. The hungry minions waste no time in digging into the feast. Their immediate reaction is a unanimous cry of pure delight. She timidly asks for their verdict, which is overwhelmingly positive. Tama sincerely thanks her for preparing such a wonderful meal. Olivia is visibly moved, unused to such heartfelt praise. Akihito encourages her to try some of her own cooking. She hesitantly takes her first bite of the dish she prepared. A wave of unexpected emotion washes over her as she tastes it. She is moved to tears by the simple, delicious flavor. Akihito notices her tears and asks what is wrong. She quickly wipes her eyes, insisting that she is all right. She explains her surprise at how good her first meal tastes. Akihito looks at her with a warm, gentle smile. He suggests she forget her noble duties and just be free. The concept of living freely is a revelation to her. He promises her that her secret will be safe with him. She realizes she can do simple things without being judged. A profound realization dawns on her. She can be herself. He offers his unwavering support for her newfound freedom. She is deeply moved by his kindness and sincerity. She looks at him, her heart filled with gratitude. She gives him a brilliant smile, thanking him for everything. Her radiant smile makes his heart skip a beat. He smiles back warmly, telling her the feeling is mutual. They share a quiet moment of genuine happiness together. The minions comically misinterpret her emotional tears. She tries to explain, but they find her reasoning unbelievable. They praise her cooking and eagerly ask for another meal soon. Her confidence soars and she happily agrees to cook again. Akihito is relieved to see her looking so happy and confident. She lets out a laugh of pure, unburdened joy. The joyous party continues with everyone asking for more food. Later that night, a strange sound comes from the shoreline. A large shape emerges from the dark ocean waves. A sea lion beastkin observes their camp from afar. The next morning, Akihito awakens feeling refreshed. He fondly remembers the previous night's clam party. He checks his status and sees he has 9 points to spend. He decides it is time to finally unlock a combat skill. Olivia greets him as he ponders his new skill options. She offers him a warm cup of freshly boiled tea. He explains his plan to learn how to use an axe. Olivia agrees, noting she can handle swordsmanship herself. They agree that covering each other's weaknesses is a good strategy. A silent bond of partnership forms between the two of them. With their plans set, their attention turns toward breakfast. He realizes a simple banana will not be enough to sustain them. He uses the food gacha, receiving a container of potatoes. Olivia eagerly volunteers to cook again under his guidance. She proudly displays the potatoes she has washed, sparkling clean. With great enthusiasm, she powerfully chops the potatoes. She watches the pot, excited as the potatoes begin to boil. He adds the last of their salt and the butter from buchi. Their simple but delicious breakfast of butter potatoes is ready. A fork sinks easily into the perfectly cooked potato. They both take a bite and are delighted by the taste. They enjoy their simple meal in a moment of shared peace. Akihito remarks that he is craving some meat or fish. Olivia passionately declares that she will secure meat for dinner. She dashes off on her hunt as he wishes her luck. Inspired by her, he resolves to go fishing himself. He arrives at the rocky shoreline, ready to begin fishing. He crouches by a tide pool, bucket in hand. He spots several small crabs and fish in the clear water. He worries about whether the creatures are safe to eat. He mentally reviews his skill tree, planning his next upgrade. A strange presence makes him look up from the water. He sees a sea lion beastkin watching him from a rock. He recalls his bad experience with the birds and feels wary. Deciding to be friendly, he cautiously calls out to it. The sea lion gives him a brief, dismissive glance. It then turns away completely, ignoring his greeting. Just as he gives up, it makes a noise, willing to listen. On the rocky shore, Akihito politely introduces himself to a peculiar vested sea lion. He points to a tide pool, asking if the small crabs and fish are safe to eat. The sea lion's gruff bark suggests they're edible, but not particularly tasty. Akihito thanks the creature anyway, explaining that any amount of food would be welcome. With a non-committal grunt, the sea lion turns its head away, seeming indifferent. It then dives into the ocean with a powerful splash, disappearing beneath the waves. Akihito wonders if the creature dislikes humans, but decides to try fishing for himself. He sets about trying to catch the tiny creatures in the tide pool by hand. For a while, he just splashes around clumsily, struggling to get a grip on anything. After 10 minutes of effort, he triumphantly holds up a single minuscule fish. He's happy with his catch, but realizes this method will take far too long. Tossing the fish back, he thinks that he'll really need a proper fishing rod. Suddenly, a loud splash startles him as something lands on the rock beside him. He stares in disbelief at a magnificent bundle of large fish tied with seaweed. He realizes the sea lion's voice was the same. It had gone to get him this. With another quick splash, the kind sea lion dives back into the ocean and vanishes. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Akihito cups his hands and shouts a heartfelt, "Thank you." Carrying the pot of fish, he reflects on how the kind creature went out of its way. He marvels at how fresh the fish are, feeling a bit awkward about the generous gift. Deciding the bounty is too good to keep to himself, he heads for the Minyan village. He arrives at the quaint village, nestled amongst giant, whimsical mushrooms. Bucci, the patched-faced minion, greets him warmly, happy to see him visiting again. Tama excitedly rushes up, asking what brings him here, his nose twitching curiously. When Akito reveals the pot of fresh fish, the minion's eyes sparkle with joy. They call him a master fisherman, but he humbly explains a sacred beast gave it to him. Bucci recognizes the description, identifying the creature as a member of the Ashika tribe. The Ashika serve the half-fishmen, he explains, wearing scallop shells instead of hats. Akihito now understands that the sea lion he met was one of these Ashika. He asks what the Ashika are like, wondering if they hold a grudge against humans. Bucci explains that the Ashika are a tribe burdened by many internal contradictions. Confused, Akihito asks Bucci to clarify what he means by these contradictions. Bucci says they are shy but kind, wanting to help people but struggling to interact. They love grilled fish, but their clumsiness around fire often leads to them getting burned. This internal conflict, Bucci notes, even causes them to have comically stiff shoulders. The minions advise him to be kind to the Ashika, and Akihito nods in understanding. Back at his and Olivia's camp, he gets ready to cook the generous gift of fish. He uses his magical preparation skill, making the fish ready for the fire instantly. A perfectly cleaned fish rests on a wooden plank, ready to be grilled over the fire. For just 1 point, he summons a proper santoku knife to aid in the preparation. He plans to make salt-grilled mackerel and a nice soup for his minion friends. As a fish sizzles over the flames, he hears Olivia's voice call out his name. Olivia returns from her hunt, dejected and surrounded by a gloomy aura of failure. He offers her a freshly grilled fish, and the delicious aroma quickly lifts her spirits. He explains he didn't catch it himself, suggesting they eat while they talk. He recounts his strange and wonderful encounter with the kind member of the Ashika tribe. Olivia is amazed, remarking on the incredible thing that happened to him today. He admits he wanted to befriend the creature, but worried he might have been disliked. Olivia turns to him, her expression suddenly serious, catching him completely off guard. With unwavering confidence, she declares that he can befriend them. She guarantees it. Her absolute faith in him makes his heart skip a beat, leaving him flustered. He thinks to himself how kind and gentle Olivia is for believing in him so strongly. He thanks her, promising to go back to the sea later to try and meet it again. He is happy they're becoming friends, but worries getting closer might be dangerous. He knows that when the next ship comes, Olivia will have to leave the island. The thought of their eventual goodbye already feels incredibly painful and difficult to bear. The crackling campfire is a reminder that the day of their parting is not far off. He looks up with new resolve, deciding to focus on the time they have now. Olivia thanks him for the meal and vows to redouble her efforts at hunting. They wish each other luck as she heads back into the forest to try again. He watches her go, deciding that for now he just needs to be careful. Remembering the Ashika love grilled fish, he decides to bring one back as a gift. He scans the horizon from the rocky shore, searching for his new sea lion friend. He finally spots the creature on a distant rock and calls out, "There you are!" He approaches carefully with a quiet greeting, trying not to startle the shy beast. The sea lion is still surprised and immediately tries to slip back into the water. Akihito quickly tells it to wait, explaining he brought grilled fish as a thank you. The sea lion stops, asking about the fish, and he confirms it's a gift. When he asks if it dislikes fish, the creature quickly denies it, looking away. He wonders if its quick denial means it actually really likes the fish. He places the offering down, telling it the meal was delicious and he's grateful. The sea lion cautiously approaches the offering and begins to eat the grilled fish. Akihito crouches nearby, smiling warmly as he watches the creature enjoy its meal. He properly introduces himself again and asks if the creature will tell him its name. The sea lion looks out to sea and lets out a soft bark. "Toby." Akihito beams with joy, thanking Toby for finally telling him his name. Toby gives him a shy, sideways glance, seemingly pleased with his happy reaction. He then turns back to the ocean, continuing to nibble on his tasty gift. Akihito thinks to himself that Toby is a kind, sacred beast for helping him. He resolves then and there to find a proper way to repay Toby for his kindness. As they sit together, a dark, ominous shape suddenly rises from the ocean. Beneath the waves, a pair of glowing, menacing eyes stares out from the darkness. A massive creature erupts from the sea in a violent explosion of white water. Akihito and Toby are caught completely by surprise by the sudden, huge disturbance. Akihito instinctively ducks down, shielding himself from the massive spray of seawater. The creature crashes down, and Akihito rushes to shield Toby from the impact. He looks up, shocked, at a massive tentacled monster looming directly over them. He quickly asks Toby if he's all right, and the sea lion gives a small nod. Toby shakes the water from his head, his expression shifting to one of annoyance. His precious scallop shell hat has been knocked askew by the force of the splash. The shell tumbles off his head, clattering onto the wet rocks beside him. Toby lets out a frustrated cry and quickly snatches his precious hat back up. Just then, two sleek killer whales surface, chattering excitedly in Toby's direction. Akihito is completely baffled, sensing a strange, almost playful mood from the creatures. Toby warns him to stand back, adding to his ever-growing confusion about the situation. Akihito realizes with a jolt that they are all just pranksters, but he doesn't get it. Toby explains that he's a prankster because of the influence of the half-fishman. Akihito is utterly bewildered by this bizarre and nonsensical explanation from the sea lion. The giant fish then playfully smacks Toby, sending him tumbling into the water. The ocean churns as the bizarre procession of sea creatures begins to depart. Akihito sits alone on the rocks watching the waves, completely baffled by the events. Standing on the cliff, Akihito calls out, asking if his friend Toby is okay. He worries that after the chaotic prank, the sea lion might not return today. He recalls the strange spectacle of the giant fish and the killer whales. He wishes he could have properly thanked Toby for the fish he brought earlier. The sea lion's sad words about being a half-person echo in his mind. He resolves to wait just a little longer, hoping his friend will reappear. He sits on the cliff, wishing there was something he could do to help. Suddenly, a stream of bubbles breaks the surface of the calm ocean water. With a great splash, Toby leaps energetically from the sea. Akihito sees he's being joyfully chased by the two killer whales from before. He calls out Toby's name as the sea lion affectionately nudges him. Toby slides back into the water with a playful, almost mischievous expression. He gives a quick wink before disappearing back into the waves. In the distance, the killer whales continue their energetic game with Toby. The ocean churns with the spray and chaos of their play. Akihito searches the shoreline for a while, but his friend is gone. He spots a dark silhouette on a distant rock, wondering if it's Toby. The creature turns and a jolt of fear runs through Akihito. A monstrous devil rat lets out a vicious snarl, its fangs bared. Akihito's eyes widen in pure, unadulterated terror. He realizes with horror that he is face to face with a deadly monster. This is bad. His powerful protector, Olivia, is nowhere to be found. He frantically checks himself, realizing he is completely unarmed and utterly alone. The creature's sharp claws dig into the rock as it prepares to lunge. It leaps through the air, a blur of mangy black fur and rage. He throws himself backward, the monster's snapping jaws missing him by inches. He scrambles away, his feet slipping on the uneven rocks. He remembers Olivia saying these creatures weren't particularly strong. But seeing its terrifying maw up close, he strongly disagrees. He knows that without a weapon, he stands absolutely no chance. The second devil rat joins the hunt, relentlessly closing the distance. He realizes with a surge of panic that he's about to be caught. He screams for a strong weapon, desperately activating his status screen. The monster's jaws snap shut just as he makes his split-second decision. In a flash of light, a heavy object begins to materialize in his hands. He shouts a defiant axe as the weapon fully forms. He swings with all his might, the axe connecting with a brutal, sickening impact. He brings the weapon down again, finishing the monster in a spray of gore. The second devil rat lets out a terrified cry and flees into the wilderness. He pants heavily, watching it disappear, wondering if he really drove it off. He collapses to the ground, exhausted, thinking he barely managed to survive. His gloved hand, still gripping the axe handle, trembles from the adrenaline. He sits among the rocks, contemplating the monster he just defeated. He thinks of Olivia, who could have dispatched such a creature so effortlessly. He clenches his fist, resolving to ask her to train him for the future. As he sits, a familiar head breaks the surface of the water nearby. It's Toby, who calls out Akihito's name with a look of concern. The young sea lion lets out a small sigh, worried for his human friend. Akihito turns, surprised and relieved to see him. He spots Toby in the water, who makes a small sound to get his attention. Akihito is overjoyed, telling Toby he had been hoping to talk with him. Toby seems to ask if Akihito was talking to him. He climbs onto the rocks, nudging Akihito and asking if he's injured. Akihito smiles, confirming he saw the fight and that he's okay, just startled. Toby apologizes, explaining he was too far away to get there in time to help. Akihito thanks him for his concern and asks if Toby is all right after the prank. Toby explains that the elaborate prank was his way of thanking Akihito. Akihito is genuinely touched by the strange but heartfelt gesture. Toby looks on quietly, their bond of friendship now firmly established. After a moment of comfortable silence, Toby brings up a different topic. He shyly mentions how delicious the grilled fish had been. Akihito is surprised by the compliment and thanks him. With a wide, genuine smile, he happily tells Toby he's welcome. He offers to cook again if Toby brings more fish, and his friend eagerly nods. Akihito then asks why the others had called him a half-person. Toby looks down sadly, wondering why the others are so mean to him. He explains that for the Ashika tribe, hats are incredibly important. They are the mark of adulthood, a rite of passage for every member. While all of his peers have found their hats, he remains without one. He explains that he swims farther than anyone, searching constantly. But because he is still a half-person, he feels he cannot complain. He leans his head against Akihito's shoulder in a moment of vulnerability. Akihito passionately insists that Toby is trying his best and isn't at fault. He tells Toby that he's kind and hardworking, just a bit unlucky. Toby is taken aback by his words, calling Akihito a strange human. The sea lion looks at him with a newfound sense of curiosity and respect. Akihito thinks about how special a hat must be to the Ashika people. In a flash of insight, a brilliant idea comes to him. He asks Toby what kind of hat he would like to have. Hearing the answer, straw hat, he knows exactly what to do. For a single point, a beautiful straw hat materializes out of thin air. He offers the hat to Toby, a gift in return for his earlier kindness. Toby is stunned, asking with wide, tearful eyes if the hat is for him. Akihito confirms it is, and the young sea lion gently accepts the gift. He holds the hat with a sense of reverence, his eyes full of wonder. With a soft touch, he carefully places it upon his head. He strikes a proud, grown-up pose as Akihito cheers that it looks perfect. Overcome with emotion, Toby thanks Akihito again and again. He is so grateful that he is nearly speechless. Akihito smiles warmly, happy that his friend likes the present so much. He says he hopes they can sit and talk like this again soon. The two friends sit together on the rocks, looking out at the calm sea. They share a quiet, peaceful moment of companionship on the shore. From a distance, the two arrogant Albert birds watch them, suspicious. Back at the camp, Akihito carries his new axe and a log for the fire. With a single powerful swing, he splits the log perfectly in two. He marvels at how his application of camping tools skill guides his muscles. He feels a surge of accomplishment, having finally obtained a proper weapon. He reflects on the long journey and the points he spent to get here. But a smug grin crosses his face. A new day means a level up is coming. With a dramatic point, Akihito declares he will spin the roulette for points. A sleepy Olivia emerges from the tent, wishing him a good morning. Still groggy, she stumbles and pitches forward with a cry of surprise. Her hand accidentally slams down onto the stop button on his screen. The two of them fall to the ground in a clumsy, tangled heap. Face to face, he asks if she's all right as she stammers an apology. Her eyes are wide with embarrassment as she realizes their proximity. She quickly scrambles off him, apologizing for tripping and being too close. Akihito glances at his screen and is stunned to see he won 36 points. Forgetting everything else, he lets out a massive cheer for his jackpot win. He profusely thanks a completely bewildered Olivia, who has no idea what happened. With so many points, he decides to purchase a suite of healing skills. He then summons a high-quality, multi-purpose knife for his preparation skill. Olivia stares with wide-eyed curiosity as he shows her the new blade. He muses that with points to spare, he can finally get them breakfast. He decides to use the food gacha twice to get them a proper meal. With a flourish, a delicious-looking club sandwich materializes before them. He exclaims at his good luck, while Olivia marvels at the tasty-looking food. The second item from the gacha appears, a large plain white tub. He reveals it's ice cream, and Olivia's face lights up, exclaiming her love for sweets. Olivia worries it will melt, but Akihito suggests they share it with the minions. She notes the day is warm, wishing she could use ice magic to keep it cool. Akihito smiles knowingly, telling her he has just the thing for that. He summons a large cooler box and a special magic-powered refrigerant pack. He asks Olivia to charge the pack, and she cheerfully accepts the task. They arrive at the whimsical minion village, nestled among giant mushrooms. Bucci greets them warmly as they approach carrying the large cooler. The minions gather around, curiously asking about the large box. Akihito smiles warmly, explaining he's brought a delicious treat to share. The words delicious food send a ripple of excitement through the entire village. He opens the cooler, announcing that he has plenty of ice cream for everyone. The minions stare at the strange white mass, wondering if it's truly edible. Olivia explains they've never had it, so Akihito suggests they try a taste. Bucci bravely takes the first spoonful as the entire village watches intently. Akihito and Olivia hold their breath, hoping he enjoys the cold treat. Bucci's eyes fly open as he lets out an earth-shaking roar of pure delight. He declares it's delicious and admits he completely underestimated Akihito. Olivia smiles, happily telling the other eager minions to form a line. She beams with joy, finding a new happiness in serving her friends. Akihito watches her, realizing this must be a brand new experience for her. Buchi cheekily tells Akihito to stop staring and get a bowl for himself. The minions dig in with gusto, taking big spoonfuls of the new treat. One of the cat people savors the delicious, cold flavor of the ice cream. The whole village is swept up in euphoria, declaring it tastes like heaven. They clamor for more, saying it's so good they could eat it every day. They begin to praise Akihito as a god who provides them with wonderful things. One minion enthusiastically suggests they should build a bronze statue in his honor. Olivia giggles, imagining a grand statue of Akihito, the ice cream god. A flustered Akihito explains it's just made from simple eggs and milk. A minion is shocked, asking if he can really make it himself. Akihito explains they can use goat's milk. All they need now are eggs. Buchi thoughtfully considers where they could possibly get bird eggs. Akihito worries they mean the arrogant Albert birds, but Buchi dismisses the idea. Buchi clarifies that there are no chickens, but there is another bird. A confused Akihito asks what other kind of eggs they could possibly get. Buchi's expression turns deadly serious as he names their dangerous target, the Rock. He describes a monstrous bird over 12 meters tall, nesting 40 kilometers away. Buchi warns that anyone caught stealing its egg will surely be killed. The minions are unfazed, declaring it's a worthy risk for more ice cream. Tama suggests that instead of just stealing an egg, they should capture a rock. Olivia chimes in, her eyes sparkling, noting that rock meat is also delicious. The minions are overjoyed, imagining a feast of roasted rock and ice cream. A small, determined hunting party is formed. Akihito, Olivia, Buchi, and Tama. Akihito sweats, feeling he may have just made a terrible, sinful mistake. He considers his preparations, deciding which skills to acquire for the dangerous trip. He decides to spend some points unlocking the useful edibility judgment skill. He also unlocks beginner's movement magic, a teleportation skill for emergencies. With their preparations complete, the small party is finally ready to depart. The four adventurers set off into the deep, imposing forest. Buchi warns Tama to watch his step as the path grows more treacherous. Tama retorts that he is always careful, unlike the clumsy Buchi. At that exact moment, Tama trips on a vine, getting ensnared and hoisted up. Buchi cries out in alarm, worried for his friend's safety. He warns that they must cut the vine immediately before it crushes Tama. Akihito's eyes widen with a sudden realization of how he can help. He steps forward confidently, telling the others that he will handle it. Drawing his knife, he declares that he can see exactly where to cut. He activates his Pro of Preparation skill, his body becoming a blur of motion. The thick vines are severed in an instant with impossibly precise slashes. Tama falls safely to the ground, completely unharmed by the dangerous trap. Akihito catches the dizzy minion, relieved that he managed to save him. Olivia rushes to check on Tama, who is shaken but otherwise all right. The minions thank Akihito and Olivia profusely for the swift rescue. Olivia praises his swordsmanship, but he explains it was an application of a cooking skill. Suddenly, a menacing presence is felt from the canopy high above them. A sneering voice asks if they're trying to prepare the minions to be eaten. Akihito recognizes the infuriating voice and looks up with a scowl. The two arrogant Albert birds are perched above, mocking them for needing human help. Tama is flustered, while Akihito clarifies that he wasn't going to eat him. The birds fly off, taunting that they aren't afraid of mere humans. Buchi notes that the sun is setting and they should keep moving. Akihito agrees, turning to continue their journey down the path. Buchi points out the steep, rocky terrain ahead, close to the rock's nest. The party begins the difficult and treacherous climb up the cliff face. The Albert birds watch from above, annoyed that the party is ignoring them. They decide to launch an attack so the party will be forced to notice them. Akihito is suddenly pelted by fruit, crying out in surprise at the assault. Olivia is also hit, noting that the attack is coming from above. His edibility judgment skill analyzes the projectiles, revealing them all as food. Akihito roars in fury, declaring that one must never, ever waste food. Akihito deftly sorts the fruit, impressing Olivia and the minions with his skill. The Albert birds wonder what just happened, noting Akihito seemed different than usual. Akihito turns to face the birds, a sudden, chilling thought crossing his mind. With a sharp glint in his eye, he realizes the birds themselves can be eaten. A status screen appears before the birds, declaring them edible. They freeze in terror. The birds flee for their lives, screaming that they are about to be eaten. Tama happily eats a banana, while Buchi remarks on the bird's surprising speed. Olivia praises Akihito, who is amazed his skinning skill has such a powerful effect. Without warning, the ground begins to tremble violently beneath their feet. Akihito looks up at the shaking mountain, wondering if it's an earthquake. A terrified Buchi cries out, recognizing the sign of a much greater danger. He points to the sky, warning that the colossal rock is returning to its nest. The ground cracks and shatters as the gargantuan creature begins its descent. Its landing sends a massive shockwave of dust and debris across the cliffside. The rock lands with a deafening screech, its monstrous form blotting out the sun. Akihito stares in stunned silence, exclaiming that the creature is unbelievably huge. As if one wasn't enough, a second massive rock lands beside the first. A third rock appears, its menacing eye glaring down at the intruders. All three rocks let out a furious, unified screech, ready to defend their home. A close-up on one rock's enraged eye reveals its murderous intent. Buchi shouts in panic that this is a truly dangerous situation. One of the rocks dives, its sharp talons aimed directly at the minions. Its massive claws slam into the rock with devastating, earth-shattering force. Tama screams in terror, believing he's about to be eaten, and dives for cover. He scrambles into a narrow crevice just in the nick of time. The rock's talons miss by mere inches as the minions huddle together, safe for now. Another rock circles overhead, preparing to join the attack on the intruders. The powerful downdraft from its wings knocks Akihito to the ground. Olivia helps him up, asking if he's all right as he stammers about its size. Buchi yells for Akihito, urging him to retreat to the cover of the forest. The party scrambles to get up and follow the minions to safety. They reach the woods where Buchi explains the large birds cannot follow them. From their hiding spot, they see all three rocks guarding their nest. Olivia grimly assesses their odds, admitting she could only fight one at most. Buchi agrees that a frontal assault is reckless, suggesting they wait for an opening. Olivia's eyes light up, eager to fight one and secure some delicious meat. Buchi agrees with Akihito's idea to prioritize the eggs, pondering a strategy. He notes that while the minions can hide, Akihito and Olivia are too large. Akihito reveals his ace, a teleportation skill that can carry one other person. Buchi's eyes gleam with inspiration, declaring that he has a plan. He gathers the party close, whispering the first part of his daring strategy. The three rocks shift restlessly in their nest on the high rocky cliff. One of the birds ruffles its feathers, seeming to prepare for departure. The rocks communicate with a series of low growls before one takes flight. With one rock gone, only two remain to guard the precious eggs. The remaining birds turn their heads, their attention caught by a strange sound. Oranges, tossed by the hidden minions, roll near the nest as a distraction. The rocks stare at the fruit, confused by the sudden appearance of food. Their curiosity overcoming their duty, they begin pecking at the oranges. Hidden nearby, Buchi and Tama whisper that their diversion is working perfectly. They continue to toss fruit, luring the giant birds further from the nest. With the rocks distracted, Buchi signals that the rest is up to Akihito. Akihito peeks out from behind a rock, seeing his window of opportunity. He spots the prize, two massive, pristine white eggs resting in the nest. He creeps forward as quietly as possible, his heart pounding in his chest. He reaches the nest, his gloved hand hovering over one of the giant eggs. With a determined grin, he grabs the egg, ready to make his escape. He strains to lift it, shocked by its unexpected and immense weight. His face contorts with effort as he exclaims how incredibly heavy it is. Olivia rushes to his side, asking what's wrong as he struggles with the egg. She offers to take over, using her body enhancement skill to lift it. But their clumsy handoff creates a loud scraping sound that echoes across the cliff. One of the rocks lets out a furious shriek, its head snapping toward the noise. They look up in horror, realizing their stealthy plan has failed completely. Akihito quickly grabs his axe, preparing to defend against the charging monster. Olivia cries out in alarm as the enraged rock barrels towards them. Akihito turns to face the threat, his expression one of grim resolve. He yells for Olivia to get down, shoving her behind him to shield her. He stands as the last line of defense between his friend and the behemoth. The rock's beak slams down, and Akihito is thrown back by the staggering force. He trembles from the sheer pressure, realizing the creature's overwhelming power. He can't believe the impact came from just chipping one of its talons. Olivia tells him they must create an opening if they hope to escape. The rock attacks again, its beak crashing down with terrifying speed and force. Akihito dodges, shouting defiantly that he won't let it have the egg. He declares that his only goal is to make sure everyone returns safely. Olivia looks at him, her eyes wide with emotion, touched by his selfless courage. The third rock begins to fly back, and Boogie knows their time is up. He shouts the second part of the plan. It's time for them to go home. Akihito hears Buchi and understands what he must do to save them all. He calls out to Olivia, telling her to get ready for his signal. With a powerful cry, Olivia uses her advanced skill to launch the egg at him. He catches it as she yells that she has created the opening they needed. Clutching the egg, Akihito activates his movement magic to the campsite. A brilliant flash of light erupts, blinding the two bewildered rocks. They reappear at their camp, tumbling to the ground in a disoriented heap. Olivia looks up and sees their tent, realizing with relief that they made it. They clasp hands and laugh, celebrating their narrow but successful escape. Akihito collapses, completely drained from the effort of the powerful spell. They apologize to each other, now worried about their friends left behind. Olivia explains the rest of the plan. They would rendezvous at the Minion village. They walk through the familiar, peaceful forest of giant, spotted mushrooms. Olivia is certain the minions are safe, trusting their knowledge of the island. Akihito remembers Buchi's secret plan and has faith in his clever friend. As they approach the village clearing, they see their friends waiting for them. Buchi and Tama rush forward, overjoyed to see Akihito and Olivia are safe. The whole village celebrates the safe return of the heroes and their prize. Akihito smiles, asking Buchi what his incredible secret escape plan was. Buchi puffs out his chest and proudly states that his plan was to run. He explains that the promise of ice cream gave them all the courage they needed. Akihito spends 5 points to summon a large ball-shaped ice cream maker for the celebration. Buchi and Tama stare at the strange device, wondering if it can truly make ice cream. The minions eagerly help combine the rock egg yolk, goat's milk, and sugar in a bowl. Akihito asks Olivia to use her magic to instantly chill the device's refrigerant pack. With a cheerful smile, Akihito explains that the final step is to simply roll the ball. The minion children erupt in delight and begin playfully rolling the large sphere around. Olivia watches the heartwarming scene, completely captivated by how adorable the minions are. As the minions gather in anticipation, Akihito announces that the ice cream is almost ready. With a flourish, he reveals a bowl filled with perfectly churned, creamy ice cream. The minions dig in, their faces lighting up with pure bliss at the delicious taste. They cheer for Akihito, demanding a statue be built in his honor, much to his embarrassment. Amidst the celebration, Olivia pulls him aside to offer her sincere thanks. He laughs it off, saying he was just frantically trying to ensure their safe return. She looks at him with genuine admiration, insisting that he was incredibly cool. Flustered by her earnest compliment, Akihito can only stammer out a quiet thank you. Olivia's mood then shifts as she laments her own failure to secure any meat. Buchi overhears her and asks if she wants to eat meat, to which she eagerly agrees. He suggests a new destination for their hunt, the caves, a place full of delicious things. Olivia's interest is piqued by the suggestion, and she repeats the word, caves? Buchi describes a wondrous place filled with rare creatures, shining crystals, and tasty ingredients. Olivia notes that everyone seems to agree, her gaze settling on Akihito. Fired up, Akihito points forward, declaring their next adventure will be a cave expedition. They arrive at the base of a rocky cliff, where the dark entrance to the cave awaits. Akihito and Olivia, now prepared for a new challenge, approach the foreboding opening. Olivia recognizes the location, confirming that this must be the cave Buchi described. Standing before the dark maw, she points out a strange totem, identifying it as the entrance marker. Buchi notes that the number carved on the totem's stomach appears to be a 0. He explains that the number indicates the monster level, and this 0 means the area is safe. Buchi concludes that there are no powerful monsters lurking near the cave's entrance. Akihito reasons that the meat they seek must be deeper inside, where stronger monsters dwell. Olivia, her warrior spirit ignited, declares that she will be the one to get the meat. She hesitates, however, admitting that she will need a light to navigate the darkness. Akihito gently offers her a lantern, but she is flustered by the thoughtful gesture. For a brief moment, their hands touch as he passes the lantern to her. She pulls her hand back in a panic, apologizing for her strange reaction. With a shy smile, she asks if it would be all right for her to carry the light. Akihito gives her a warm, reassuring grin and tells her that it is, of course. She thanks him, taking the lantern with a newfound sense of confidence. Raising the light high, Olivia officially begins their expedition into the cave. Akihito watches her, a fond smile on his face as he thinks her name. He resolves to support her, knowing she is trying her best despite her phobia. They venture into the gloom, agreeing to proceed slowly and with great caution. Deeper inside, they walk through a vast cavern, its ceiling dotted with strange glowing lights. Buchi points out another totem, this one marked with a 1, signaling a more dangerous area. Akihito notes that the path seems clear for now, while Olivia nervously looks on. Suddenly, a strange ethereal light flashes past Akihito, catching him by surprise. The light reveals itself to be a massive swarm of large, moth-like insects. Akihito realizes with a grimace that they are surrounded by a terrifying number of bugs. He flails his arms but is completely overwhelmed, unable to drive the swarm away. Olivia calls out his name, asking if he is all right amidst the chaotic cloud of insects. The bugs drawn to the light begin to converge on the lantern she is holding. Olivia cries out in alarm, realizing the swarm is dimming their only source of light. With a furious shout of "Vance!" she unleashes a powerful, swirling gust of wind. The force of the blast instantly scatters the swarm, sending the insects flying. Her powerful attack has cleared the air, leaving a pile of defeated insects on the ground. In the aftermath, Akihito spots a cluster of pale growths on the wall, identifying them as mushrooms. His skill confirms they are edible cave mushrooms, a rare and delicious find. Tama excitedly recalls that Buchi said they could trade these mushrooms for bacon. Akihito imagines a delicious meal of sautéed bacon and mushrooms as they gather their prize. As they continue, Olivia spots something else tucked away in a dark crevice. She calls out to Akihito, suggesting there might be another edible discovery nearby. As they approach, Akihito peers into the darkness, wondering what the strange plant could be. Olivia notes the strangeness of a plant growing in the dark, as Akihito prepares to investigate. Without warning, the ground in front of them erupts with a monstrous roar. Akihito shouts Olivia's name, realizing that a monster has burst forth from the earth. His eyes widen in shock as he takes in the full, terrifying form of the creature. A giant, armored centipede towers over him, and he can only whisper how massive it is. The creature lunges, and Akihito instinctively raises his axe in a desperate defense. The monster's sharp, powerful mandibles click menacingly just above his head. Akihito nervously identifies the creature as a centipede, much to Olivia's utter disgust. With a guttural roar, the centipede charges forward, its maw wide open. The monster's powerful attack sends their precious lantern flying through the air. Olivia's eyes widen in horror as she watches their only light source tumble away. The lantern crashes against the far wall, shattering and plunging them into darkness. Reacting on pure instinct, Akihito shoves Olivia behind him, yelling for her to get down. He stands his ground, his axe held ready to face the monstrous threat alone. The creature's mandibles clamp down on his axe, and he strains against its incredible power. He grits his teeth, his muscles screaming as the sheer force of the beast pushes him back. He knows he must avoid its poisonous legs, as a single touch could be fatal. The monster snarls, its face inches from his as it tries to crush him. From the darkness behind him, Olivia cries out his name in terror. With a final, desperate roar, Akihito shoves back with all of his might. The powerful counterattack manages to break one of the creature's massive mandibles. He follows through with his momentum, preparing to deliver a final, decisive blow. Dark ichor sprays from the creature's wound as it recoils in pain and shock. Akihito leaps into the air, bringing his axe down in a mighty overhead swing. The blade connects with a sickening thud, sinking deep into the monster's head. He stands over the defeated beast, panting heavily from the exertion of the battle. He looks back at Olivia, asking in disbelief if he actually managed to defeat it. Olivia, blushing with a mixture of awe and relief, confirms that it seems he has. She praises him for his amazing feat, and he laughs, relieved that he somehow managed it. As he stands over the corpse, a notification sound chimes from his unique skill. A pop-up identifies the creature as a Marvel giant centipede, which is conditionally edible. The skill further explains that when boiled, it has the texture and delicious taste of lobster. Akihito's face contorts into a mask of pure, unadulterated shock and horror. Olivia, seeing his strange expression, asks what's wrong, worried that he might be injured. He turns to her, forcing a smile, and explains that the centipede is apparently delicious. Olivia stares at him, her eyes wide with horror, unable to process his words. He quickly backpedals, waving his hands frantically and saying he was just kidding. He mutters to himself that it would take serious courage to eat something so grotesque. With the disgusting centipede behind them, Akihito and Olivia share a laugh, agreeing to forget it. Suddenly, Akihito's hand slips as he reaches near the lantern. Olivia watches in profile as the lantern clatters through the air. In the sudden gloom, they realize their only light has gone out. A terrible scream rips from Olivia as she collapses, crying out against the darkness. Akihito shouts her name, completely shocked by her extreme reaction. She is on her knees, her entire body shaking uncontrollably from sheer terror. He immediately reaches for her, trying to offer comfort and reassurance. Holding her, he realizes the gravity of her phobia and promises to stay by her side. Through her trembling, Olivia manages to whisper a choked apology for her weakness. He holds her tighter, telling her not to apologize as he worries about finding a new light. Akihito knows he must get her out of the cave. They are too vulnerable in the dark. His expression hardens with resolve, determined to protect her at all costs. Peering into the gloom, he spots a faint, mysterious light deeper in the cave. He asks if she can walk, but she can only shake her head, paralyzed by fear. Seeing no other option, he prepares to lift her from the ground. Apologizing for the familiarity, he gently scoops her up into his arms. He carries her into a magnificent grotto, its walls glittering with a wondrous light. They are both stunned to discover the source, countless, massive magic stones. He carefully sets her down, suggesting they rest for a while in the gentle glow. Overwhelmed and flustered, Olivia can only manage a quiet, blushing agreement. As she apologizes again, he gently tells her to be careful as she steadies herself. He takes her hand in his, a firm and reassuring gesture of support. He smiles warmly, telling her that her safety is the most important thing. Olivia looks at him, her expression soft and full of unspoken gratitude. She thanks him, clutching his hand, deeply moved by his constant kindness. Their lighthearted exchange brings a moment of levity to the tense situation. Akihito picks up a crystal, marveling at the strange beauty of magic stones. Olivia explains that the minions trade these, noting that such a large one must be valuable. He cheerfully offers her the stones, but she insists that he was the one who found them. He tells her he has no need for them and that she should take them as a souvenir. Flustered, she admits her family is quite wealthy and doesn't need more. She playfully teases him, but he retorts that his real prize is the mushrooms he found. Olivia lets out a soft, genuine laugh, her tense posture finally relaxing. Akihito smiles, relieved and happy to see her spirit returning. He reflects on her earlier terror, realizing it must stem from a deep trauma. The image of the usually cheerful Olivia being so afraid troubles him. He becomes certain that there is a painful reason for her intense phobia. Olivia looks up at him, her expression serious as she says his name. She thinks about how he has always acted with her best interests at heart. She decides that she can trust him, that maybe it's okay to tell him her story. She says his name again to get his full attention before she begins. She asks him to listen to a story about her past, her voice filled with resolve. Akihito looks at her, his expression serious as he prepares to listen. They sit together in the glowing cavern as she prepares to explain everything. The cavern's sparkling crystals provide a serene backdrop for her difficult story. The two of them sit in the vast grotto, a quiet, intimate moment amidst the grandeur. Akihito recalls wanting to understand her past, but is now apprehensive. Olivia knows he must be curious about the reason for her crippling fear of the dark. He agrees to listen, even if the story is a painful one for her to tell. Seeing her resolve, he tells her that he truly wants to know and understand. Touched by his gentle consideration, Olivia gives him a grateful smile. Her story begins, taking them back to the events of 1 year ago. In a flashback, she is shown as a respected holy knight and platoon commander. The ornate insignia of her noble house is proudly displayed on her cape. Her adoring subordinates eagerly invite her to share a meal with them. Two jealous nobles interrupt, falsely claiming she already has plans with them. Her loyal soldiers glare at the two nobles, protective of their commander. The nobles gossip bitterly about her, resentful of her high birth and status. One of them whispers a rumor he heard about the half-Paimon family. He claims her family has failed in business and is now deeply in debt. The scene cuts to her father, the Marquis, looking weary and stressed. The gossiping nobles are immediately silenced by the Marquis's imposing presence. He stands alone, reading a letter with a pained and worried expression. The weight of his family's troubles is etched deeply onto his face. He approaches Olivia, holding a formal letter from the Marquisate. As Olivia reads the letter, her expression fills with shock and disbelief. Her father notices her reaction and asks what is wrong. He reveals the devastating news that their trade ships have sunk yet again. He confesses that to recover their losses, he took out a massive loan. He then presents the solution, a marriage proposal from the Prince of Nissel. Olivia calmly explains that if she marries the prince, he will pay off their debts. Her father cries with relief, and she gently tells him not to worry. She closes her eyes, accepting her duty as a daughter of House Half-Paimon. A soldier bursts in, interrupting them with an urgent, breathless message. He reports that zombies are pouring out of the cemetery in Nottingham. The number of undead is over 300, and the horde is still growing. Olivia recalls the orphanage in Nottingham and the children she played with there. Her face hardens with resolve as she orders her platoon to prepare for battle. She leads the charge on horseback, her 72 soldiers against an army of the dead. The chaotic and brutal battle against the undead horde begins. She sees the true scale of the threat, more than 300 zombies ahead. A soldier suggests waiting for reinforcements, but she declares there is no time. She vows to stop the horde here and save anyone who might be trapped inside. She entrusts her second-in-command, Glenn, with leading the defensive line. On her white steed, she raises her spear, preparing her ultimate holy technique. A massive wave of divine energy erupts from her, decimating the zombies. Her soldiers cheer her name, amazed by her power as they search for survivors. With a path cleared, she and her soldiers rush into the church. They burst through the main doors, calling out, but find only an eerie silence. She scans the dark, empty church, hoping survivors are hiding somewhere. Her trusted second-in-command, Glenn, looks on with a worried expression. She tells him to remain calm and be strong, whatever they might find. She reassures him with a confident smile, reminding him she is a holy knight. A soldier finds a side door that has been locked from the inside. Olivia calls out, identifying her platoon and offering aid to anyone within. When no one answers, she decides they have no choice but to break the door down. With a powerful kick, she shatters the wooden door, sending splinters flying. Her soldiers rush into the dark room, their lanterns held high. Inside, they find what they were looking for, a group of huddled children. In a memory, Olivia's armored form kneels, relieved that a young girl is safe. The girl calls her big sis Olivia, asking if she remembers playing together. Her face suddenly twists into a monstrous grin, her voice still calling out, "Big sis." The now zombified child snarls, a guttural sound escaping her throat. Olivia throws herself protectively in front of the lunging zombie, shouting a warning. Her eyes are wide with sheer terror as the horrific scene unfolds. The memory contrasts the sweet, smiling child with her twisted, undead form. Olivia reaches out in despair as the memory of the innocent girl fades away. A soldier prepares to strike the zombie child, identifying it as just a thing. Olivia screams at him to stop, that he cannot harm the child. Her subordinate looks back, confused by the order from Commander Olivia. He cries a warning as two zombie nuns ambush him from behind. The soldier Buffett is bitten, crying out as Olivia watches in shock. Her face is splattered with blood as she screams for it to stop. The world plunges into darkness, filled with the sounds of chaos and fear. She narrates that she lost her platoon and couldn't save the children, forcing her to resign. Her father tells her to forget the past and accept the Prince of Nissel's proposal. The handsome prince arrives, greeting Olivia and saying he has been waiting for her. He promises his kingdom's wealth will support her family, offering her this happiness. Olivia stares blankly, questioning what this so-called happiness truly means. She feels that accepting would be an honor, something she must simply do. She explains to a listening Akihito how this trauma crippled her with fear of the dark. Finishing her tale, she says her own immaturity was to blame for the tragedy. Akihito thanks her for sharing, but questions the engagement to the prince. She admits with a pained expression that, embarrassingly, this is her situation. He looks at her intently, asking if this is what she truly desires. He insists that becoming a human sacrifice for her family is simply wrong. He calls the prince a villain, but she defends him as a kind man. She tearfully demands to know why Akihito is being so cruel to her. Her sharp retort makes him flinch, realizing he has overstepped. He apologizes for getting worked up over her family's debt-driven decision. She sighs, explaining that this is how noble marriages work, and asks him not to worry. Her eyes widen as she begins to say, "And yet," he declares passionately that he hates seeing her unhappy and wants her suffering to end. His words move her deeply, and she turns away, her face flushed with emotion. Clenching her fist, she thanks him, but says she cannot betray her parents. Akihito's expression softens, knowing he cannot push her any further. He promises not to speak of it again, simply glad she confided in him. Olivia abruptly changes her demeanor, boasting that she is fine and has her strength. She flexes comically, declaring she'll fight if things get unreasonable, baffling Akihito. He bursts into a warm, relieved laugh, understanding her attempt to lighten the mood. She joins in, her own bright laughter filling the glowing cavern. Akihito's smile fades as a thought he cannot voice comes to mind. He wishes he could ask her to stay on the island with him. Olivia notices his silence, asking if something is wrong. He quickly dismisses it, suggesting they gather more of the valuable magic stones. Her eyes light up at the idea. If money is the problem, they can solve it. She agrees enthusiastically, and they decide to collect what they can carry. Bucci the Catman appears, happy to have received a bag for their haul. Olivia is re-energized, ready to gather souvenirs and even hunt some meat. As they exit, Akihito muses on Olivia's incredible strength. A heavy scraping sound echoes from the darkness of the cave entrance. A menacing shadow looms in the tunnel, a new threat pursuing them. The dark, monstrous shape seems to fill the entire passage. They emerge into the light, and Olivia announces that she has found them. She proudly displays a large sack filled with plump, pristine cave mushrooms. Akihito smiles, relieved that the monster from the cave didn't appear after all. Olivia holds the mushrooms, remarking on their incredibly fragrant aroma. He jokes with her, but she panics, thinking he's commenting on her own smell. He laughs, suggesting they leave the mushrooms outside and find a place to cook. From the shadows, a hidden observer notes that they also have magic stones. A sudden, sharp sound from inside the cave makes them both jump. A heavy thud echoes, signaling the arrival of something large. A monstrous saber boar charges out, its eyes glowing with malevolence. They both cry out in shock as the massive beast appears. The boar plants its feet, its powerful form ready to charge. Olivia shoves Akihito aside, declaring that she will handle the monster. Her eyes blaze with power as she activates her body enhancement skill. She draws her sword, a blur of motion as she prepares to meet the charge. The boar's eyes narrow as it thunders towards her with incredible speed. The sound of steel against tusk rings out as she blocks the attack. Her sword shatters into pieces, unable to withstand the creature's immense power. Akihito stares in disbelief, realizing that Olivia has been completely overpowered. The force of the blow sends her stumbling backward across the ground. She struggles to maintain her footing against the boar's relentless assault. He cries out her name as she is pushed back by the creature's brute strength. She notes the boar's incredible speed and the hardness of its tusks. Akihito watches in horror, realizing their situation is dire. It dawns on him that Olivia's power is ineffective against this foe. A desperate idea strikes him. He can use his movement magic to escape. He focuses, intending to teleport them immediately back to their camp. The magic begins to form, but then fizzles into nothingness. They both look on, confused and alarmed by the spell's failure. He realizes with a jolt of panic that his magic has vanished. Olivia screams for him to run as the boar charges again, certain of its victory. Akihito shoves her back, raising his axe and shouting that he must do something. He strains against the boar's might, groaning that the beast is too strong. He can't push it back and yells for Olivia to save herself. She cries out in despair, refusing to abandon him. The two are frozen in a moment of sheer terror. Akihito begs her to run, knowing he can't hold on, but she screams his name. A new voice suddenly shouts a command to close their eyes and mouths. Recognizing the voice, they obey, squeezing their eyes shut in confusion. A massive explosion erupts in a blinding flash and a cloud of smoke. Through the haze, Bushi appears, urging them to move now. The two minions grab their dazed friends, pulling them to safety. Bushi directs them to climb a high, rocky ledge to buy them some time. He salutes proudly, explaining he had a bad feeling and came to check on them. Akihito thanks them, rubbing his eyes which are stinging from the blast. Bushi reveals his secret weapon, a minion special pepper bomb, as the boar sneezes. On a high cavern ledge, Bushi declares they need an escape plan. Akihito finds his teleportation magic won't work, much to his alarm. Bushi apologizes, explaining the magic stones interfere with his skills. A deafening crash echoes as the ground beneath them violently shakes. The enraged boar slams into the rock wall, trying to collapse their perch. Bushi explains the boar's tactic, and Akihito realizes their precarious situation. The party is thrown off balance by the powerful, repeated impacts. Akihito decides they must find a weak point, and Bushi suggests a trap. A spark of inspiration hits Akihito as he recalls his unique skills. He focuses, using his Pro of Preparation skill to analyze the beast for a weakness. "I've found it," he declares, having discovered the monster's vital point. Olivia looks on, a sense of hope returning to her expression. She confidently tells Akihito that if an opening is all they need, he can leave it to her. Akihito watches as the brave holy knight prepares for battle. With incredible courage, Olivia leaps down to confront the charging boar. She meets the monster's ferocious charge with her own formidable power. The resulting impact sends a shower of sparks and rock flying everywhere. The saber boar is stunned, thrown back by her unexpected strength. The powerful shock wave from their collision reverberates through the cavern. A massive explosion of force marks the climax of their direct confrontation. Bushi cheers as Akihito lowers Olivia on a rope, explaining the sparking magic stones. The minions call out to Olivia, bravely acting as bait for the boar. Bushi entrusts the plan to Olivia's strength, and she readily accepts. The massive boar shakes its head, recovering from the stunning blow. It lets out a furious snort, steam billowing from its nostrils as it prepares to charge again. Bushi shouts a warning as the enraged beast thunders towards their trap. Tama cries, "Now!" as Olivia pulls the tripwire taut, unleashing her Vance skill. The boar barrels forward, its hooves catching the rope with a loud snap. Tama cheers in triumph as the trap springs, momentarily stunning the beast. The minions shout to Akihito, telling him that the rest is up to him. With the monster vulnerable, Akihito leaps forward with his skinning knife. He loudly invokes his ultimate support skill, Pro of Preparation. He charges towards the recovering beast, his focus absolute. The dazed saber boar looks up, confused by the sudden turn of events. In a daring move, Akihito slides directly underneath the massive creature. His skill reveals the boar is edible, but its tough tusks must be removed first. Overjoyed at the prospect of meat, Olivia and the minions eagerly offer their help. The defeated saber boar lies on the ground, dizzy and disoriented. Back at the campsite, Akihito tends a warm, crackling fire. The entire party feasts on skewers of boar meat, shouting how delicious it is. Olivia declares the meal heavenly, and Akihito wholeheartedly agrees. Buchi smiles, filled with the simple joy of a good meal with friends. Akihito reflects on how wonderful it is to eat with everyone, glad for their friendship. He thanks them all for their help, and the minions return his gratitude. Olivia looks at Akihito, her expression soft as she thoughtfully says his name. Buchi proudly states he only did what was right, though Tama calls him a show-off. Buchi explains that Akihito is a warrior who always looks out for his friends. Akihito, touched by the word companions, offers them a warm, grateful smile. He laughingly tells them to stop the embarrassing talk and just eat more meat. He then remembers the magic stones, noting that many were broken in the fight. Olivia holds up a handful of intact crystals, beaming that they have more than enough. She expresses her deep gratitude for him and their irreplaceable companions. Akihito happily agrees they should go back to the cave to gather more sometime. Buchi volunteers to help, joking that Akihito would be helpless without him. Tama insists on coming too, not wanting Buchi to have all the fun. Akihito laughs, glad that Tama is there to keep Buchi in line. Olivia covers her mouth, stifling a giggle at the minions' playful bickering. Akihito checks on Olivia, who smiles and says she is just getting some water. As they relax, a sudden rustling from the bushes puts them on alert. From behind a tree, a new figure watches them, declaring, "I found you." A wolf-like samurai emerges, identifying Olivia as his intended target. He notes her distinctive, swirling twin-tail hairstyle. With his hand on his sword, he declares her to be his master's enemy. The celebration continues peacefully back at the camp. Olivia is seen pouring a refreshing drink into a bowl. She peacefully sips from the bowl, her eyes closed in contentment. She lets out a soft, satisfied sigh. She calls out to Akihito as he grills skewers over the campfire. Tama, with a look of pure bliss, enthusiastically asks for seconds. Akihito playfully tells Tama not to overeat, but the minion insists he's fine. Tama muses that the meat tastes even better because they all work together. Akihito agrees to get Buchi another skewer as well. The samurai watches from the shadows, convinced the minions are being deceived by a demon. Akihito offers Olivia another skewer, but she politely declines. The samurai bursts from the trees, vowing to punish the demon he sees. Akihito and the minions are completely shocked by the sudden intrusion. The samurai leaps into the air, challenging them to an immediate fight. Akihito shouts Olivia's name in alarm as the warrior descends. He dives in front of Olivia, blocking the samurai's katana with a frying pan. The impact of steel on iron rings out with a loud clang. Olivia thanks Akihito for protecting her, asking if he is all right. She turns toward the samurai, furious that he would attack Akihito. With a powerful cry, she unleashes her Vance skill, blasting the samurai away. The wolf warrior is sent flying, but lands gracefully on his feet. He stares at Olivia, completely stunned by her incredible power. His aggression instantly melts into infatuation, his eyes filling with hearts. The minions try to stop him, but he insists she is a fearsome demon in disguise. They explain the situation, but the samurai refuses to believe humans aren't demons. Akihito hopes that since the samurai knows Tama, they might be able to reason with him. The samurai mocks Akihito's frying pan, dismissing any words from him. He growls, declaring that demons who prey on people are his master's enemy. As he lunges, Akihito shoves a skewer of meat into his mouth to shut him up. The samurai is stunned into silence by the incredible taste and texture. Olivia calmly approaches, suggesting they eat and talk things over peacefully. The samurai is completely overcome by the deliciousness of the meat juices. He praises the wisdom of such a strong and beautiful woman. He bows deeply in apology, introducing himself as Wanyudo no Ueharu Kimie. Akihito explains that Kimi had heard rumors of a flesh-eating demon in the forest. Buchi and Tama sigh, commenting on Kimi's short temper and troublesome nature. Kimi grumbles, insisting he was just trying to live peacefully with the minions. Kimi remorsefully admits his grave error, realizing he almost killed an innocent man. He dramatically offers to commit seppuku until Olivia's anger has been appeased. As a peace offering, Akihito silently presents a skewer of freshly grilled meat. Olivia beams, asking Kimi if the food he's eating is delicious. Kimi, overcome with delight, declares that the skewers Olivia made are the best. With a bright smile, Olivia gives all the credit for the cooking to Akihito. They trade humble compliments, each acknowledging how much the other has helped. Kimi listens, quietly wishing he could also learn how to cook for Olivia. Olivia's praise of Kimi's blade skills only seems to make him more agitated. His jealousy explodes as he berates Akihito for his lack of swordsmanship. Consumed by rivalry, Kimi challenges a weary Akihito to another duel. Akihito refuses the pointless fight, questioning Kimi's overly aggressive behavior. Tama frantically tries to calm the two men as Olivia begins to look unwell. The small cat is the first to notice her distress, asking what is wrong. Olivia weakly insists that everything is fine, even as she starts to collapse. Akihito catches her just as she faints, while Kimi cries out in alarm. He holds her limp form, shouting her name as the minions watch in shock. Inside the tent, Tama keeps a solemn vigil over the unconscious Olivia. Water is quickly gathered in a pot to help bring down her fever. Akihito carefully carries the pot of cool water back toward the tent. He returns to find Tama, who gravely informs him that Olivia has a high fever. Kimi frantically demands answers, but Tama insists he remain calm and quiet. A close-up shows Olivia's face, beaded with sweat from her raging fever. Akihito watches over her, his expression a mask of profound worry. Tama speculates her illness is from exhaustion and says they must cool her down. Akihito brings the water, and Tama places a cool, damp cloth on her forehead. He realizes his own immunity skill is useless for helping her in this new world. A sudden idea strikes him, and he gently places his hand upon her head. He desperately casts his basic recovery magic, hoping it will be enough to help. As the magic flows, a single tear traces a path down her feverish cheek. Her eyes flutter open, and she weakly calls his name as he leans over her. He apologizes for not noticing sooner, but she assures him she feels better. She tries to reassure him, telling him not to worry before her eyes close. Her words are cut short by a violent coughing fit, alarming everyone. He realizes with dread that his magic is far too weak to cure her. Kimi asks about medicine, but Tama doubts their own remedies will work. Tama suddenly recalls a legend of a panacea ingredient at a lake's bottom. Akihito latches onto this new hope, demanding to know the lake's location. Buchi warns them that the location is a deep, dangerous place the minions avoid. Undeterred, Akihito vows to retrieve the vital ingredient himself. Kimi watches Akihito, his expression stern and unreadable. The samurai objects, insisting that he should be the one to face the danger. Akihito insists he will be fine, confident that his unique skills will protect him. He declares that his greatest motivation is his overwhelming desire to save Olivia. He is driven by guilt, determined not to have any more regrets about her safety. He states firmly that he will go, regardless of the potential danger involved. The minions are visibly moved by his unwavering resolve to save their friend. Kimi seems to relent, though his expression remains conflicted and stern. At the foreboding lake, Kimi turns the desperate rescue mission into a contest. The two rivals stand at the water's edge, an intense energy between them. Akihito questions the need for a contest, but Kimi challenges his confidence. Akihito calmly affirms that his only true motivation is to save Olivia. Kimi declares he is also serious, viewing Olivia as his kind benefactor. He claims a weakling like Akihito is untrustworthy and cannot protect her. With a final challenge, Kimi dives into the water to begin the race. He confidently shouts that he will win easily as he swims away from shore. Akihito prepares himself, reminding himself that this is not a game. He takes his first step into the cold, dark waters of the mysterious lake. With a determined cry to save Olivia, he plunges headfirst into the depths. Kimi swims deeper, searching for the uniquely colored medicinal plant. Akihito pushes through the water, his face a mask of pure determination. Suddenly, Kimi is seized by an unseen force from the darkness below. A large hand grips his leg, stopping his progress dead in the murky water. He is violently yanked down, disappearing completely beneath the surface. Kimi and his unseen attacker surface, sputtering and gasping for air. Akihito asks if he can't swim, but Kimi explains he was pulled from below. Akihito asks what grabbed him, but Kimi describes it as a powerful current. A strange glint of light on the water's surface catches Akihito's eye. Kimi's expression turns grim as he senses a growing, unseen danger. Kimi warns Akihito of a dangerous presence lurking just beneath the surface. The water bubbles as the creature moves at the bottom of the deep lake. Akihito peers into the depths, confirming that something is indeed down there. Both of them stare down, wondering what kind of creature lurks below. Kimi tells Akihito to give up, declaring he will dive in again alone. As Akihito protests, a watery tendril shoots out and wraps around his ankle. The liquid tendril constricts, its grip tightening impossibly around his leg. Akihito vanishes beneath the surface with a splash, shocking Kimiya. Kimi calls out his rival's name, his face filled with genuine alarm. Underwater, Akihito realizes with a jolt that something has captured him. He is dragged helplessly through the water by a powerful, unseen current. Two enormous, monstrous fish appear, creating a terrifying whirlpool. He stares in horror, realizing he is facing not one but two monsters. The powerful whirlpool churns the water, pulling everything towards its center. One of the monsters opens its massive jaw, attempting to suck him in. The creature's jaws snap shut like a powerful pincer, narrowly missing him. He barely avoids the attack, a look of strained relief on his face. His gaze is suddenly drawn to something glowing in the dark water. He sees it, the glowing medicinal plant resting peacefully on the lakebed. He realizes this must be the very ingredient they came here to find. The tendril yanks him away from his goal, pulling him back violently. Trapped by the monster's whiskers, he knows he must cut himself free. His air supply is dwindling rapidly, and a deep panic begins to set in. The water resistance makes his movements slow and agonizingly difficult. His strength fails him, and he feels himself succumbing to the inevitable. In a flash of steel, Kimi's sword severs the whisker, saving his life. Kimi speeds through the water to rescue his drowning rival. The samurai grabs him, pulling him swiftly upwards toward the surface. Their hands slap against the rocky shore as they finally escape the water. Exhausted and battered, they both collapse onto the ground, gasping for breath. Akihito thanks him, but Kimi gruffly dismisses it, hiding his concern. Kimi coughs violently, spitting up lake water as Akihito watches with concern. The samurai wolf turns away, blushing, declaring that his debt has now been repaid. Akihito stares at his rival, moved by the honorable gesture and calling his name. Overcome with emotion, Akihito thanks him profusely, but Kimi gruffly shoves him away. Kimi declares he won't fall for the same trap again, ready to proceed alone. Akihito is aghast, questioning Kimi's reckless plan to face two monsters by himself. Kimi vows to succeed for Olivia, but Akihito insists that a strategy is essential. Akihito knows the water is a huge disadvantage and asks for a moment to think. While Kimi shouts that there's no time, Akihito desperately recalls a potential skill. He finds the underwater walking skill and declares that this is their only hope. With fierce resolve, he acquires the skill, proposing that they fight together. The samurai wolf is utterly baffled by Akihito's sudden proposal for teamwork. Akihito successfully acquires the skill and decides to share its power with his rival. He explains they can now breathe underwater for 4 minutes, though Kimi is doubtful. Akihito passionately pleads for them to combine their strength, all for Olivia's sake. Kimi considers the desperate plea, his proud demeanor showing a hint of sweat. Vowing not to drown again, Kimi grips his sword in his mouth to dive. Together, the two rivals plunge back into the dark, monster-infested waters. Submerged, Akihito is amazed to find that he can breathe without any difficulty. He marvels at how easily Kimi moves and calls out to his new partner. The two monstrous fish loom before them, and Akihito warns that they are here. The grotesque anglerfish monster lets out a silent roar and charges right at them. Kimi bravely intercepts the beast, declaring that he will be its opponent. The second monster, a giant catfish, lashes out at Akihito with its long whiskers. Akihito cries out in alarm as Kimi is sent flying by the powerful monster. The giant catfish monster turns its attention fully on Akihito, charging forward. He cuts the whiskers with his knife, only to find they regenerate almost instantly. He sees the glowing medicinal plant on the lakebed, so close yet so far away. Kimi tells Akihito to get the plant, while he provides a much-needed distraction. Akihito feels the pressure of their dwindling time limit. Only a few minutes remain. He grows increasingly frustrated with the monster's constantly regenerating whiskers. A brilliant idea strikes him as he remembers his unique pro of preparation skill. The monster's whisker suddenly ensnares Kimi, and Akihito shouts his name in alarm. Kimi struggles, his wrist caught, as Akihito promises he is on his way to help. Akihito has a flash of insight. He must tangle the whiskers, not try to cut them. He urges Kimi to hold on just a little longer as he closes in on the beast. With a determined look, Akihito grabs hold of the monster's powerful slimy whisker. Kimi is dragged helplessly towards the creature's gaping, tooth-filled maw. The monster creates a powerful vortex, trying to pull the struggling samurai warrior in. Caught in the swirling water, Kimi desperately hopes he can make it out in time. Akihito pushes through the current, his mind focused on reaching Kimi in time. The creature's mouth opens wide, ready to deliver the final, fatal bite. Using his preparation skill, Akihito ties the monster's whiskers into a perfect bow. The monster's grip is released, and Kimi is suddenly freed from its grasp. Freed from the whisker, Kimi is sent tumbling helplessly through the dark water. Akihito, his job done, struggles with all his might to swim back to the surface. They lie exhausted on the shore, gasping for air, having somehow survived the ordeal. Lying on the rocky ground, they marvel at the fact they made it out alive. He clutches the cure, knowing he must get it to Olivia as quickly as possible. Back at the camp, the tent stands silently among the dark, imposing trees. Inside, the precious medicinal herbs are carefully ground into a fine paste. Lying down, Olivia lets out a soft moan as her consciousness begins to return. The beast can cheer, realizing with relief that she's awake and the medicine worked. Kimi anxiously asks Olivia if she is okay, his voice filled with deep concern. Olivia, still weak, looks up and offers her sincere thanks for their help. Her eyes then search the room, finally landing on Akihito as she calls his name. Akihito rushes to her side, his face a picture of pure, unadulterated relief. He beams with happiness, overjoyed that the medicine was successful and she is well. She gives him a warm, reassuring smile, telling him she is feeling fine now. He tells her not to move and to rest, and she happily agrees to his request. Kimi watches the tender moment between them with a thoughtful, serious expression. He observes her smile of pure relief, recognizing the deep trust she has in Akihito. Akihito praises Kimi, saying how cool he was facing the monster with his sword. Olivia adds that she couldn't have managed alone and offers her heartfelt thanks. Kimi, flustered, tries to give the credit back, saying Akihito defeated the monster. Akihito simply smiles, a silent understanding passing between the two rivals. Kimi grumbles to himself, still flustered by the praise and the camaraderie. Kimi vows to never forget his face while Akihito laughingly apologizes. Buchi and Tama playfully remark on Kimi's unreliability, much to Akihito's shock. Kimi grudgingly admits Akihito was helpful, though he won't quite say it aloud. Akihito is touched by the samurai's reluctant praise, a slight blush on his cheeks. The others playfully mob them, telling the two rivals to finally get along. The scene shifts to their quiet campsite, the simple tent nestled in the woods. Akihito considers the bowl of fruit, thinking Olivia might be able to eat it. The minions thank him for sharing, noting that the vitamins will be good for her. Akihito knows she needs to recover, but food alone won't secure her future. He recalls the storm, realizing their tent life is too insecure and unstable. He resolves to do everything he can to ensure she leaves the island healthy. The minions notice his sudden seriousness and ask him what is on his mind. He turns away from them for a moment, his mind made up about his new plan. He spins around, bowl in hand, and declares his grand plan to update the tent. In a separate scene, a cat girl with glasses gives a confident thumbs up. Two young boys enthusiastically praise their cool big bro Hirataka. Hirataka smirks, promising to show them the true heights of being an adventurer. Akihito thinks that if he can improve their living environment, it will help. He looks at Olivia resting, knowing a better home is what she truly needs. He stands with determination, ready to build a home to protect against all threats. His friends stare in disbelief, sweat dropping at his sudden, intense declaration. He points to a large pile of logs, saying he will use what Olivia gathered. The minions are amazed, asking if he can really build a disaster-proof house. He looks at the pile of wood, quietly contemplating the massive task ahead. He wonders if he has the right skills, as the minions doubt his ambitious plan. Deciding he needs help, he opens his status screen to consult a professional. The camera pans over the lush, dense canopy of the island's vibrant forest. A sweet-looking female minion appears, offering her help to the savior. Akihito is instantly charmed by her cuteness, while Kimi looks on, unimpressed. Tama interrupts, correcting him and saying that this is the real Marin. Marin's expression darkens, and a menacing aura begins to radiate from her. She transforms into a fierce foreman, ordering everyone to build the best house. Tama explains her personality shift, leaving Akihito utterly speechless and bewildered. Akihito cheerfully offers to help Kimi, suggesting they can haul lumber together. Kimi stumbles while carrying a heavy log, prompting Akihito to voice his concern. The samurai insists he is fine alone, while Akihito warns him he might fall. Annoyed, Kimi snaps at Akihito for being clumsy and tells him to be more careful. He shoves Akihito away, telling him to stay back if he's going to be useless. They walk in a tense silence, Akihito assuming Kimi is angry with him. Kimi fumes to himself, frustrated that he couldn't be more helpful to Lady Olivia. Akihito suddenly realizes that today is the day he can use his special point roulette. Activating the roulette, he hits a massive 32-point jackpot, bringing his total to 39. His level up has also added new powerful sub-skills to his tent-building ability. He discovers a new gold tier for his food gacha, perfect for a celebration. Kimi gives him a deadpan look, finding his excited muttering to be quite creepy. Akihito excitedly explains his plan to get delicious food to celebrate Olivia's recovery. He thinks to himself that he just wants her to get better and be happy. Kimi listens to him with a serious and unreadable expression on his face. The samurai asks Akihito if he intends to live on the island with Olivia. Akihito sadly explains that Olivia will return home and they cannot live together. Kimi angrily asks why he won't go with her, but Akihito says her situation is complicated. With surprising concern, Kimi asks if Akihito is truly okay with this. Akihito admits it's lonely, but Olivia's happiness is what matters most to him. He resolves to create as many happy memories for her as he can right now. His sincere words leave Kimi flustered and at a complete loss for words. The samurai mutters that he doesn't understand humans, confusing Akihito. Suddenly, Buki's voice urgently calls out to Akihito from the woods. Buchi runs up, explaining that Marin is in trouble and needs his help immediately. The scene shifts to their simple tent, nestled at the edge of the forest. Marin, the Minyan architect, worries that they are short on lumber for the house. Akihito realizes the project will take much longer due to the building's large size. The Minyans offer to increase their numbers to speed up the assembly process. A Minyan struggles to hammer a large post as others try to hold it steady. Watching them work, Akihito has a sudden flash of inspiration. He remembers he has a pile driver sub-skill and decides to put it to use. He asks a minion to let him take over with the heavy wooden mallet. He grips the mallet, preparing to unleash the power of his new skill. Combining his skill with body enhancement, he brings the mallet down with incredible force. The post is driven deep into the earth with a single blow, stunning the minions. Akihito triumphantly declares he can now finish the work instantly, happy to be of use. The minions cheer, excited that the work will now go much faster. Kimi watches, grudgingly admitting that such a feat is expected of his rival. Akihito calls out to Kimi, asking for a favor that only the samurai can do. Kimi reluctantly agrees with a huff as a nearby Minyan smiles knowingly. Akihito stands before a large tree, axe in hand, ready to solve the lumber shortage. He swings his axe with a powerful and practiced motion. His tree felling technique has clearly improved thanks to his camper skills. The massive tree groans and begins to topple over with a loud crack. Akihito asks for Kimi's help, and the samurai accepts the challenge with determination. Kimi draws his katana and moves in a blur of impossibly fast slashes. A second massive tree falls to the ground, felled by the samurai's expert swordsmanship. The minions are amazed by their perfect teamwork, though Kimi brushes off the praise. A minyan holding a hammer feels their own fighting spirit begin to burn. Marin rallies the troops, urging them to build the entire house in one go. The entire minion village works together in a bustling, joyous scene of construction. During a break, Akihito shares a meal with his happy, hard-working new friends. The scene transitions to a peaceful, starry night in the dark forest. Inside the tent, a figure begins to stir from a long, deep sleep. The person stretches their arms, finally waking up after days of recovery. Olivia sits up, wondering just how long she has been asleep. She has vague, dreamlike memories of being cared for by Akihito and Tama. Sensing a commotion, she opens the tent flap, wondering what is happening. She is met with the incredible sight of a finished log cabin and cheering minions. Olivia stares in complete disbelief, wondering what in the world she is seeing. Tama rushes to her side, happily asking if she is awake and feeling all right. The minions crowd around, explaining they built a safe house for her to rest in. They happily tell her that it was all Akihito's idea to build the house. Olivia is moved to tears, realizing this incredible gift was built just for her. Her emotional moment is cut short as she notices something very strange. She spots two bizarre, crudely carved wooden statues of her and Akihito as saviors. The minions insist that the statues are absolutely necessary and very important. Akihito rushes over, relieved and happy to see that Olivia is finally awake. He gently reminds her not to push herself while she is still recovering. Olivia, her eyes filled with tears, asks how she can ever thank him for the house. He smiles warmly, telling her not to worry and to just focus on resting. He quickly assures her that the house has two separate rooms for their privacy. Akihito suggests moving the strange statues, but the minions loudly object. A minion declares that it is an honor to praise their saviors so openly. Akihito sweats nervously, clearly embarrassed by the over-the-top display of affection. Olivia, covering her mouth, whispers that she is truly happy and so very grateful. Her face radiates pure joy as she says that meeting everyone has made her truly happy. Akihito and the minions are touched by her heartfelt and emotional words. The minions erupt into cheers, declaring a party to celebrate the new house. Akihito smiles, getting swept up in the joyous and festive atmosphere. He promises to cook for everyone, suggesting a barbecue on the beach with ice cream. Olivia, wanting to show her gratitude, insists on helping him with the cooking. Akihito decides that now is the perfect time to use his special food gacha. He selects the gold tier, hoping to get something truly special for the party. A box materializes containing a fine bottle of wine and an assortment of snacks. He exclaims that he's hit the jackpot as Olivia looks on in wide-eyed amazement. Toby the sea lion arrives with a bounty of fish, and Olivia praises the good spot. With her hair in pigtails, Olivia happily presents perfectly grilled fish on skewers. The entire found family enjoys a joyous barbecue together in the forest clearing. Olivia smiles radiantly, saying that eating with everyone is both fun and delicious. Akihito watches her, feeling a quiet contentment at seeing her so happy. He thinks to himself that her smile is what truly matters to him. A bittersweet thought crosses his mind. He wishes they could stay together forever. He knows it's an impossible dream, but he can't help but wish for it. On the distant horizon, a large ship appears, sailing towards their island. The majestic galleon cuts through the waves, drawing ever closer to the shore. On the ship's deck, the Prince of Nissel orders his men to search the islands. He stares out at the sea, vowing to find Olivia, certain that she is still alive. A confident, possessive smile forms as he declares he is coming for his bride. A majestic galleon sails through choppy waters, approaching a distant, mountainous island. From the crow's nest, a lookout peers through his spyglass at the shoreline. His view reveals a pack of grotesque, multi-eyed devil rats among the rocks. High above the deck, the lookout shouts a warning about the numerous monsters. The Prince of Nissel is told they cannot confirm any human signs on the island. He issues a decisive command to abort the landing and avoid the dangerous shore. An officer informs the prince that reaching the next island will take several days. The prince laments the delay, but trusts that Olivia is waiting for him safely. Clenching his fist, he imagines his beloved as a weak girl suffering all alone. He clutches his chest in theatrical anguish, certain she is awaiting his rescue. "Wait for me, Princess Olivia!" he heroically bellows as his ship sails away. The royal galleon continues its journey across the vast, empty ocean. Meanwhile, on the island, a joyful Olivia asks who would like more ice cream. A crowd of delighted minions cheers, eagerly forming a line for another serving. Akihito says he's had enough, so Olivia offers to take over serving duties. With a warm smile, he playfully insists on scooping a bowl for her first. As Akihito happily serves a mignon, Olivia watches him with a fond expression. She holds her bowl, her gaze fixed on Akihito with quiet contemplation. The happy scene unfolds outside their newly constructed log cabin. All around them, the minions are in a state of bliss, enjoying their frozen treats. Buchi approaches a thoughtful Olivia, asking her what seems to be on her mind. Akihito smiles, saying it's thanks to him that everyone can enjoy this wonderful time together. Olivia confesses she feels she's always relying on Akihito and wants to do something for him. Buchi suggests that in that case, she should get him a present. The word present strikes Olivia like a bolt of lightning, her eyes widening. Later, a very drunk Kimi enthusiastically offers Olivia a bottle of wine. Olivia, already tipsy, agrees, declaring they should cast aside etiquette for the night. Akihito watches from a distance, happy to see Olivia enjoying herself so freely. The next morning, Akihito stretches, thinking how beautiful the sky is. He reminisces about his adventures, from meeting Olivia to battling giant centipedes. He smiles to himself, realizing how close he and Olivia have steadily become. He is glad he was able to help Olivia have a good time. A sudden, massive boom interrupts his thoughts, and he wishes this peace could last. He turns in shock, a bead of sweat on his face, wondering what happened. He stares at a huge crater where the forest has been completely obliterated. Terrified, he wonders what could have possibly caused such destruction. A wobbly and still drunk Olivia stumbles out of the cabin towards him. With a goofy, carefree grin, she asks Akihito if he wants to drink with her. Akihito asks Kimi if Olivia is drunk, but the samurai is too ashamed to reply. In a flashback, a pouting, intoxicated Olivia asks why Akihito won't drink with her. Declaring that she is sad, she unleashes a catastrophic explosion of magical energy. Several days later, life on the island has begun to return to normal. Two minions greet each other, commenting on how spacious and nice Akihito's room is. They peek inside the new log cabin with expressions of wonder and amazement. Kimi explains to a haggard Akihito what happened while he was passed out drunk. He sternly warns Akihito to never ever let Lady Olivia drink alcohol again. Inside their new home, a pot of soup bubbles cheerfully on the stove. Kimi sits at the table, impatiently asking Akihito if dinner is ready yet. As Olivia prepares to eat, Kimi gruffly states he won't acknowledge Akihito's cooking. He then suggests they go somewhere to settle down, though he'll eat just for today. Olivia's eyes light up as she hesitantly asks if they could go to the cave. Akihito immediately agrees, thinking a trip to the cave is a great idea. Olivia cheers with delight while Kimi grumbles that she should at least help with the meal. With a determined glint in her eye, Olivia resolves to find a great present for Akihito. The trio stands before the dark cave entrance, next to a strange cat-shaped statue. Kimi complains that the statue isn't bronze, as Olivia wonders why Akihito would like it. Inside, Akihito notices Olivia seems dazed and asks if she is all right. She asks him to wait a moment, trying to steel her nerves against the darkness. Akihito looks at her with a gentle and understanding expression. He decides this is the perfect time to use the points he's been saving. In a flash of light, he summons 3 powerful headlamps from his menu. Olivia is amazed by the lights, exclaiming how wonderful it is to have her hands free. Akihito also decides to acquire a new skill before they venture any deeper. Full of newfound confidence, Olivia energetically declares they should get going. Akihito watches her bounce with excitement, noting her high spirits. He cautions her not to stray too far, since they don't know what's ahead. Kimi retorts that Akihito is the one more likely to fall into a trap. Olivia scans the cavern walls, searching for something that would make a good present. She doesn't know his taste, but is determined to find something that will make him happy. The crude cat statue indicates they are now entering the level 3 danger zone. Akihito grips his axe tightly, warning his companions to stay alert for monsters. High above, Olivia spots a faint glimmer of light in a dark crevice. She begins to scale the sheer rock face with surprising grace and agility. Reaching the ledge, she discovers a single, beautiful, glowing magic stone. She holds the crystal, admiring its beautiful form and the gentle color of its light. With a happy, contented smile, she thinks it would be a perfect match for Akihito. Suddenly, a dark and menacing shadow falls over her from behind. Down below, Akihito spots her on the ledge and calls out her name. His face contorts in sudden, wide-eyed horror at what he sees. A monstrous skeletal spider emerges from the shadows behind the unsuspecting Olivia. She turns startled by Akihito's cry, her expression one of pure confusion. Akihito's eye twitches as his unique skill activates in a flash of insight. His edibility judgment skill reveals the bone spider is poisonous and identifies its weakness. He sees the vital thread and yells for Kimi to cut it. Kimi roars, enhancing his body with magic as he leaps into the fray. He commands Olivia to get down, addressing the monster as a foul beast. The samurai becomes a blur of motion, his katana hacking at the creature's limbs. From above, Kimi warns Akihito that the monster is about to fall. Akihito readies his stance, enhancing his own strength in response. The blade of his axe gleams as he prepares to deliver a powerful blow. He leaps down, bringing his axe down with immense force, shattering the spider's skull. Olivia and Kimi watch from the ledge as the monster finally collapses. A rock slide begins and Akihito quickly moves to shield Olivia from the falling debris. He leans over her, his headlamp smoking, and asks if she's okay. Their headlamps shine brightly into each other's faces, making them both flinch. Kimi points to the exposed rock wall, asking what it is they've uncovered. Akihito discovers a vein of pink gold rock salt and cheers at their lucky find. He excitedly tells a subdued Olivia about the delicious food they can now make. Nearby, Kimi happily gnaws on one of the spider's discarded bones. Olivia clutches her chest, admitting that the broth from the bone actually smells delicious. Overcome with guilt, Olivia apologizes for her reckless behavior and for causing them trouble. With a decisive snap of his fingers, Akihito announces he will use a newly acquired skill. He summons a brilliant dimensional storage vortex, cheerfully telling them to put everything inside. They gleefully toss in heavy rock salt, celebrating the convenient new power. With their treasures stored, the group decides it is time to exit the cave for a break. They emerge victorious, Kimi proudly carrying a bone from their big catch. Suddenly, a frantic Buchi runs towards them, shouting that something terrible has happened. He points in horror towards the coast, revealing that a massive human ship has arrived. Akihito and Olivia stand in stunned silence, realizing their happy times are over.